Michaelis crews often roll in before the fire hoses are rolled up. Their proven process of water extraction, smoke removal, and content storage will calm your nerves. Then their talented craftsmen will rebuild your home and restore your spirits. That starts by being your advocate with the insurance company. You'll find Michaelis doesn't just feel for you, they work for you. Water, storms, fire, and foundations. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it. Call 844-FIX-INDY. Make it Michaelis.
The Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show is this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. For hunting, sporting, and personal protection gear, visit the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show.
93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
WIBC HD2, W298BB, WIBC HD3, W228CX, Indianapolis. The Colts wrap up the season as they host the Houston Texans. Coverage Sunday morning at 9 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
What in the hell do you think you're doing?
Hey, John Boy.
I'm telling you straight, it's my way or the highway. So anybody wants to walk, do it now.
Hey, everybody, we're all gonna get laid.
And again, it's picked up. It's Darius Leonard. A pick six for the Maniac. Touchdown, I-N-D-Y. Yes, sir.
Oh, the Dickens! Double time!
Miles Turner. Yeah.
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
All right, let's get it started here. 3 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon and the final regular season. Larceny Bourbon Locks and Luna Azul Tequila Shots with our betting analyst, Brent Halverson, who joins us coming up in a minute. Actually, if you're viewing us via YouTube Live inside the lounge, you know that he is here. That was just for everybody on the radio here because he's going to join us in a second. We've got like 3 pages of scenarios, and that is going to lead us down the path of what we're going to do with our regular season finale of weekend games that start coming up on Saturday afternoon with the Chiefs and the Raiders. You got that big one in the AFC South, and I'm sure a lot of you folks out there, because of the Colts and how bad they've been this year, don't really care that much about, but maybe secretly would like to see both teams really screw it up. I don't know. Maybe it's just Tennessee you want to see screw it up. The Titans on the road at Jacksonville. That's at 8:15 coming up on Saturday night as well. We're going to go through all those games, including the ones on Sunday, and get you started with that here. Coaches Downtown with Larceny Bourbon Locks and Luna Azul Tequila Shots for the final regular season weekend here in the NFL. We have good Damar Hamlin news, and I love it. Per the physicians caring for Damar Hamlin at the University of Cincinnati Medical Center, Damar has shown remarkable improvement over the past 24 hours while still critically ill. He has demonstrated that he appears to be neurologically intact. His lungs continue to heal, and he is making steady progress. We are grateful for all the love, and that, my friends, is the best story of the day. Quote, remarkable improvement, and here's hoping that it continues to go in that direction. So that's absolutely fantastic. We'll dive more into that coming up in just a bit, but I did want to start with it because that is a huge story, and we all need the good news stories, and that was definitely a good news story. Meantime, coming up later on tonight, you got back-to-back 7 o'clock for Purdue on the road. Purdue coming off that loss to Rutgers on Monday at home. They are on the road. I believe Dogs on the road at Ohio State coming up later on tonight. That's a 7 o'clock start. IU and Iowa City. It seems like IU hasn't played since Halloween, but they have. IU and Iowa City versus the Hawkeyes tonight. That is a 9 o'clock start. I'm telling you, there are a lot of things as a Hoosier fan that would worry you about this. Certainly, it is a team that hasn't played basically for 2 weeks, at least another team, competitive competition in a game situation. But it's also a team that's going for a 9 o'clock start up in Iowa City at Carver Hawkeye. That's tough regardless of the situation. we're going to see what this coaching staff and what this team is made of a little bit later on tonight. We're going to gander in at exactly how prepared they are or they aren't, and about this team in general, knowing how large this is to get off to a good 2023 start in the Big Ten and how tough that environment is. We're going to really learn a little bit about this basketball team coming up later on tonight. We shall talk about that coming up in the show as well. Meantime, we'll get to the Pacers and the Sixers. Last night, bottom of the hour, Eddie Gill from the Pacer Radio and Bally Sports Indiana networks, both TV and radio. Eddie's going to join us. Listen, I'm not going to go overboard either way, and I promise you I wouldn't do that. I wasn't going to go overboard, and I was disappointed that there was no Joel Embiid playing last night. I was disappointed. I wanted to see Myles go up against Embiid, and if he got his ass whipped, he got his ass whipped. It's happened before, and Embiid whips everybody's ass. So, again, if that happened, that happened. But as I told you, I want to see this team now. They're in a spot to where we're all excited, and we're starting to build expectations. Now, I would advise you not to go all in on the expectations, to keep them real. But at the same time, make no mistake, everybody has a higher level of expectations for this team. They have given you a reason to embrace it. They've given you a reason to talk about what they should do, what needs to be done, what they can do, compared to what we thought they were going to do. If you remember, going back to the start of the season, I bring this up all the time. Rick Carlisle comes on this show and basically is saying, patience. It's going to take a little bit. We love what we have. We want to see this team grow together. But chill out just a little bit because the results may not be, from a winning standpoint, what you want. It's going to take a bit. They have been well ahead of schedule, even as of right now at 21-18 on the season. Well ahead of schedule. I was talking to Chris Denary of Bally Sports Indiana a little bit earlier this morning, and there is no doubt nobody thought they were going to look like this. Now, I will also tell you that their situation in an NBA game last night, up 4 late in the game, not being able to salt that thing away, letting it slip into overtime, there is no doubt you have every right to be disappointed. But again, I just don't want you to lay these expectations because you're going to have frustrating nights like that. You got both the good and the bad last night. The good was this team in the fourth down 13. They came charging back, and like we really have gotten to know this team from a standpoint of they don't give up. Oh, I know, that's coach speak. I know, you got to hear that all the time. I'm not going to cliche the crap out of you here, but they don't. They do fight. Other than a handful of games this season where you're talking about being disappointed when they didn't have their top 8. Brooklyn playing here about a month ago, if you will, against the Pacers, or that New Orleans game, or 3 games out on the West Coast, that Clipper game, the Portland game. They get to some revenge opportunity tomorrow night here at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. I can't remember if the Utah, what else? The Sacramento game is the one I'm thinking of right there. The Sacramento game as well. So it's been a handful of games to where they went away and did not fight back and remain strong in it. Last night was one of those nights that you've come to really enjoy. You enjoy the fact this team doesn't go away. You enjoy the fact they get down 13 in Philly, and you're thinking, yeah, this is probably not going to go the way that you want, and they fight back. Here was the issue late last night. If you didn't watch the game, they did turn it over twice that led to overtime. When you think about it, Andrew Nembhard, when he turned that over, the second to last Philly possession, when the Pacers were up 4, this is part of what I think happens. I think with that 8-second count in the NBA, especially for the younger folks in the NBA, you're so not used to having any sort of full court or I'd say three-quarter court pressure. And, man, your mind starts to think, that 8 seconds is not very long. I don't have much time. I don't know if it was that. I just don't know if he lost it in the moment or if it makes perfectly good sense. He just, like anybody else on that team, wants to get it as quickly as possible to Tyrese Halliburton. But it was ill-advised, and evidently what you watched last night was him just kind of handing the ball off to Tyrese Maxey, and then Maxey going the other direction in about 3 seconds and pulling the Sixers within 2. And when you think about it, all Nembhard really had to do was take a couple more dribbles into the front court and then either eat some clock or await being fouled. That's all really had to do. Easier said than done in that moment, but that's really all you had to do. And he could have even split the free throws, and he would be up 5 and would be feeling really good. In fact, I would also tell you that it would have been better off had he just kind of taken the ball and thrown it straight up in the air from where he was standing. That would have been better than that basic dribble handoff to the wrong team that took literally 3.5 seconds to score. And then you have Halliburton in that final, next to final, regular fourth quarter regulation possession where it didn't go right. They go the other direction. And if you watch that, Philly was getting down the floor quickly, and you watch Myles try to track it down. He tried to defend it, didn't get to it, but the shot was left short. And to me, the most disappointing aspect of it all, and I'll get to the best in the world in a second, the most disappointing aspect of it all was on that final play. When Philly tied it up, it didn't look like Pacer guys ran the floor very well because Myles made that challenge, missed it, the shot was short, and Tobias Harris was running the floor and putting up for the tie. And you can kind of tell Myles looks back with outstretched arms, kind of wondering where the rest of his guys might have been right there. Yeah, you could say that, you know what, if you go into a more controlled situation, if you're Myles, maybe you get that rebound, maybe you're there when that layup wasn't made. But his momentum took him out of bounds, and it didn't appear that the teammates ran the floor very well. And that was unfortunate. Philly ties it. Buddy Hield gets a shot off, wasn't close, you go to overtime, and then Philly ends up scoring 3 more points, and you lose in overtime in a game that you absolutely should have won. Now, again, I'm not going to go overboard on it, just like I wasn't going to go overboard if they won. And I know and I admit that you're going to look at situations like this with this group, and it is going to be growing. These are mistakes you absolutely have to grow and end. Because that one costs you a game right there. That is a game that you need to be able to put away. After they got that final defensive stop, before that turnover, everybody was feeling good. And really the only thing that you couldn't do in that situation was turn the ball over where Nembhard did right there and lead to a score that took in all about 3.5 seconds. Again, you'd have been better off just throwing it to the ceiling. That would have taken more clock off. But I'm not going overboard with the negative. I'm not going to go overboard with the positive because there was, and this is not at all trying to play the middle. This is being realistic about this team because you are going to see moments like that. It has been a fast transition and a fun transition to watch this team make, but everything is not going to be perfect. They are not absolutely ready. You're going to see moments like that unfortunately stink. But there have been certainly more better moments, more embraceable in the positive moments from this basketball team that we have seen. But in that situation, you watch what happens, and you make sure that doesn't happen again. I felt bad for Nembhard because Nembhard has played really well. May not be always scoring a lot of points, but you normally can count on him being chilled and making good decisions. Last night at the end of the game, he didn't. And the same could be said regarding Tyrese Halliburton as well. Those are things you have to move past. Now, a lot of people wanted to go at the officiating. I like making fun of them. I like the fact that I was told once upon a time that these guys are the best in the world, and I guess because the NBA product is the best basketball in the world, you can easily and rightly suggest it, but at times they don't look like it. I didn't think Buddy Hield got fouled in that final three-point attempt by James Harden, but there's no way in the world that James Harden did not foul Benedict Mathurin when they were down 1 under the basket. That was absolutely a foul. And I don't know if I buy, well, one of these days he's going to get the star treatment. I don't know if I buy that. I actually hate that, to be honest with you. And the reason why I hate that is I don't want to be hypocritical, because a lot of those fouls that James Harden ends up drawing, we all sit there and raise our hands and go, well, this is a bunch of crap. I know that the star treatment can take shape, but I'll be honest with you, last night, other than that moment, if you watch their defense playing against Harden, he was doing a lot of flopping, a lot of flailing, and a lot of falling. And I know he got to the free throw line last night. He got there a lot. But I thought that they did let them play a little bit more than in the past, what you've seen from Harden. I'm not the biggest fan, and you know me, of the best in the world. But other than that Mathurin foul in overtime that should have been called, I did not have much of an issue with what took place. And really, when you think about it, Harden shot, I think, 10 free throws last night. When it really gets dicey, when he is really getting those calls that drive us nuts, he's probably middle teens, upper teens shooting free throws. Last night, 8 of 10, kept the Pacers in the game with those back-to-back misses late. But that is a game that you want to see the Pacers really learn from. We always say this garbage about it. You got to learn from this and learn from that. That is one that you have to soak up and make sure that that never happens. And I get Nembhard wanting to get it to your guy, your guard, your game closer, but you got to make sure it actually gets there. Yeah, he got sideswiped, and that certainly was the start of the end of regulation being as costly as it was. And it certainly was. And you're going to watch that, too, at the end of regulation when you watch these guys not get down the floor as quickly as you liked. But there's no doubt, best in the world missed that call, Harden versus Mathurin. And I'm with you regarding Mathurin. Mathurin went to the free throw line, 10 times? I think hit 9 last night, had 19 points off the bench. It is a part of his maturation process as well. I just like it that he goes. And he probably would be better served. And when people bring up star treatment, well, this guy gets star treatment, that guy gets star treatment. I can't imagine Courtney Kirkland, one of the officials working that game last night, probably doesn't want to hear too much from Mathurin. He may listen more to what Harden has to say, but he probably doesn't want to hear too much from Mathurin. So if you stop that, I don't know if that's going to lead to a more fair whistle. And I hate to say fair whistle because I thought for the most part last night until the Pacers put themselves in jeopardy, which means I'm talking about regulation. For the most part, I didn't have much of a beef with the officiating whatsoever. That late non-call against Harden notwithstanding, I didn't have much of an issue with it. But maybe it's going to be better suited not to get into the ear of the officials that much. But I love the fact that he gets the ball, he goes to the hoop, and he'll grow, he'll learn, and he'll finish even better as he becomes more mature. It was a bummer without question last night, but don't get too high when they win like that. Don't get too low when they blow that one as they did last night. They get the Trailblazers coming up tomorrow night, nearly across the street from us at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. We shall get you set for that. Eddie Gill is going to join us coming up at the bottom of the hour. We'll talk about those final minutes, or indeed, in this case, that final minute of play that led to that loss. And we'll also talk about how they got back in that thing late in the fourth quarter. Buddy Hield had 24, Tyrese Halliburton 16, Nembhard 12, Turner 14, and Nesmith had 11. Again, off the bench, Jalen Smith had a nice outing, 17 points, off the bench. Benedict Mathurin, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, had 19. 129-126, the Sixers over the Pacers from last night. Indiana State, a big win last night as well. Shout out to the unbeaten in the Missouri Valley Conference, Indiana State Sycamores, a win on the road in Normal versus Illinois State. That's always easy. Not really, but good last night that they got that job done. And you got Ball State as well. Michael Lewis feeling pretty good about the Cardinals in Ball State getting things done. All right, IU, Purdue, both in action later on tonight. Purdue on the road at Ohio State at 7. IU is going to be on the road at 9 later on tonight. Of course, the Hoosiers taking on the Iowa Hawkeyes. We talked about this. Chris Beard, who as a coach was doing a really good job with that Texas basketball program, got himself in a lot of ridiculous trouble back around, December 12th, somewhere in that neighborhood. Early December, I guess you could say. Got himself in a lot of trouble on a domestic issue in his home. And today, Texas fired Chris Beard as its men's basketball coach. And again, as he faces a felony domestic family violence charge, again, that does go all the way back to December the 12th and that incident in Austin. Chris Beard has been fired by the Texas Longhorns men's basketball program a little bit earlier today. Probably not altogether surprising whatsoever, but Texas had a run early in the season where they were looking really good. This is just the basketball side of it, not the felony domestic family violence charge with their former head coach side of it, but they had started out the season really well, and now things in Austin with that basketball program, without question, they are spinning. All right, we'll talk about that and a lot more with you coming up. I mentioned Eddie Gill is going to join us coming up at the bottom of the hour. This is an interesting story from yesterday. 2020 Indiana Mr. Football from Center Grove. First 2 years at Ball State, a breakout season in Muncie this past year, over 1,500 yards rushing. Placed himself in the transfer portal, and yesterday made it known that his choice was UCLA. That is Carson Steele. Carson Steele is going to join us coming up at the bottom of the hour, and we'll talk about that decision to go into the transfer portal, his breakout season, what has led to that, and why Chip Kelly and UCLA was the right choice for him. Carson Steele coming up at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour, and Mike Chappell is going to be here. That is in the 5 o'clock hour for all the latest on the Colts. Colts and the Texans coming up on Sunday. Pre-game coverage begins with me from the Bullseye Event Center. That's at 9 a.m. Touchdown Town for a final time this season from 10 until noon. That's the Colts pre-game huddle with me, Gorman, Joe Wright, and Bill Brooks. Again, Touchdown Town coming up on Sunday morning, 10 until noon, and that game is officially underway. Coming up at 1 o'clock. Coach's Tavern, we're downtown. Our final regular season Larceny Bourbon Locks and Luna Azul Tequila Shots. Tommy S. is here. Brent Halverson, our betting analyst, is here. Brent, not all of us had a really good weekend last weekend, did we? Not all of us. Some of us did. One of us didn't.
That is correct.
That's
John.
too bad.
That is correct.
That is too bad. This is all, these matchups and the quarterback starts and who's in and who's out, this is throwing a major curveball into our decision-making for this final regular season, is it not?
It's going to be tough, and I tell you, if you're going to wager on any of these games, you better know what's going on out there, because some of these teams, you're going to see quarterbacks that have never seen the field before. You know, you just got to see what's going on. There's all kinds of stuff, scenarios going on, and this can be a very important weekend, and you just got to pick and choose where you're going to go with them. And we're going to pick all of them, right? But there's some that are absolutely might end up 0-0 tie.
Yeah.
You know, there's not going to be any passion.
You think that might be here? That might be here coming up on Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's, you know, you look at these games and, you know, both these teams want to lose, really, you know. And then you've got, there's just several out there that it's going to be ugly. And again, we've got them X'd out on what nobody's playing for anything. There's a lot of really good games that are going on, too. A couple very big playoff determining games, too.
No doubt. Yeah, a lot going on. Tommy S. of coaches. I caught you in the middle of lunch. My bad. I didn't mean to go to you in the middle of lunch. Slide that microphone right up there. And tell us all about the place. Tell us about your Vikings. Tell us about where we are right now, this final weekend of the regular season.
I don't know what we got my Vikings. They are the Jekyll and Hyde team this year.
Well, they will be, won't they?
And they're either going to win the Super Bowl or they're going to get beat by 40 in like the conference championship. I think that's pretty realistic.
Let me tell you this. From people that I know that are Colts fans, you would much rather have a Jekyll and Hyde in the postseason than a craptastic-looking team that is going into the postseason rudderless, as it seems right now. So you'd much rather have that.
Sure, we're going. We're going to the dance. That's all it takes. Chip in a chair.
That's it.
We'll see what happens.
All right, Big Night. We'll talk to Tommy S. coming up a little bit later on. Brent, before we hit a break here, anything stand out to you about this week? Backup quarterbacks, back up to the backup quarterbacks, too, in terms of David Blau again, Nathan Peterman. You got a lot of guys. Jarrett Stidham, I think, one more time for the Raiders. That's the Saturday event. Against the Kansas City Chiefs. You got a lot of backups, and then backups to the backups getting PT this weekend.
A lot of that going on, you know, and again, I think we'll kind of really hone in on the games that mean something, games that are going to have some great activity. Again, there's a lot of unknown yet still with the NFL and how they're going to handle that Bills-Bengals game. So I think now, and great news today with Damar Hamlin being responsive and asking if they won the game, and that's outstanding. I think that's what the NFL wanted to see 2 days ago. They could have made something happen maybe in the past couple days. I don't think I just don't see this game happening. So that's going to change the way that some of these games are played too. So again, there's a lot on the line, and again, to me, the biggest one is Sunday night, and I'm going to be up there, John, Lambeau Field, watching the Detroit Lions and Green Bay Packers.
You're going. You got tickets.
Got tickets ready to rock.
And it was a robust price tag for a weekend in Green Bay for you.
A little spicy, but it's been about probably 5 years since I've been to a game up there, so I'm excited. They won, and I graciously thank Tommy for allowing the Vikings to let us in to have this chance. It all took. They had to win every game the last 4 weeks, and they've done it so far. And it's going to be a tough game against Detroit. Big thing there is Seattle. If Seattle wins, Detroit cannot make it in. So, but Dan Campbell today said, "Hey, we're going out to win. We don't care. They don't want to see Green Bay go on.
No, there's no.
So they will still.
You've got to take that mentality. There's
Absolutely.
No question about it.
So it's going to be a great game, and what a Sunday night game to be able to go to. It's going to be, I think, 25 to 30 degrees. So that's great football weather.
There's nothing wrong with that up there in Green Bay for you.
Have a couple beverages, stay warm, and. Go Pack, go.
Speaking of beverages, we've got the free samples that are flowing here on our Larceny Bourbon Locks and Luna Azul Tequila Shots live at Coach's Tavern downtown Thursday. The free samples are flowing. All you got to do is show up and hang out with us. It is that easy. That is our betting analyst, Brent Halverson. The owner is Tommy S., both of which will be back again. We'll do our final weekend of the regular season of the NFL coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. Carson Steele of UCLA, bottom of the 4. Mike Chappell's going to be here in the 5 o'clock hour. But coming up next, what went down late in that game from the standpoint of Eddie Gill last night. We'll get to that coming up. The former NBA guard and the radio and television analyst Eddie Gill is going to join us coming up on the other side. Live from Coach's downtown, Larceny Bourbon Locks, Luna Azul Tequila Shots, HD Radio, the stream, the app. You got us inside the lounge via YouTube Live. We're all waving at you right now except for Brent, who's looking down at his phone. There you go. And we got the Larceny Bourbon Heaven Hill Distillery samples flowing here. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Back with you next.
Hey there, it's Jake Query for AAA, and I don't know about you, but wintertime always gets my mind wondering in terms of vacations. Recently, I went to Barcelona and Florence, Italy. Both were absolutely fantastic. I would love to get somewhere warm to escape and see sunshine for the first time in seemingly forever. And no matter where you're thinking about heading, my friends at AAA can help you get the best price on your next vacation at the AAA Vacation Expo. It's Saturday, January 21st at the JW Marriott downtown. Exclusive vacation deals, expert presentations, complimentary travel planning, and more. And the best part, it's all free. You don't even have to be a AAA member to attend. So whether you're looking to travel this year, next year, or beyond, save the date for a AAA Vacation Expo. That's Saturday, January 21st at the JW Marriott downtown. Find more information and pre-register for your chance to win a $500 AAA travel voucher at AAA.com/expo. That's AAA.com/expo.
All right, Larceny Bourbon Locks, Luna Azul Tequila Shots. Final weekend of the regular season finds us at Coach's Tavern. Of course, we talk about all the time what flows beneath the umbrella at Heaven Hill Distillery. Our betting analyst, Brent Halverson, knows about it. What are we going to highlight? What's flowing right now for us?
John, I tell you, Larceny and Luna Azul, right? The leaders of the Larceny Lock Luna Azul Shot Show, along with Evan Williams, Elijah Craig. We've got a lot of great brands and have been lifting spirits since 1935.
And we've got all our picks, the final regular season weekend of the NFL. Betting analyst Brent Halverson, me, JMV, and Tommy S. It's the Larceny Bourbon Locks and Luna Azul Tequila Shots. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Hey, it's JMV. You know, I'll never forget the first time someone pointed out the bald spot on the back of my head. That's why I went to We Grow Hair Indy. Here's Darren Andrews to tell you more.
For over 20 years, we've been restoring hair for men and women with every type of hair loss and every ethnicity. No matter the reason for your hair loss, we're here to help. And our friend Rajiv Ram, two-time Olympian and tennis professional, can attest to this.
I wanted more hair, and they have the best technology there is for it. We Grow Hair Indy cared about me and did exactly what they said they would. The results have been amazing.
I had the multi-unit hair grafting procedure, and I loved that they could fill in my thinning hair on top of my head. People tell me all the time how great my hair looks, and yours can too. Call now for a free evaluation and grow your hair back. Call 888-724-5129, 888-724-5129, or WeGrowHairIndy.com, the gold standard in hair restoration.
I'm John, and I love pickup basketball. It has been increasingly difficult, my hooping friends out there know, to find a consistent game. You know what? Pickup USA Fitness in Noblesville, a better way to play, has got it for you right now. A huge gymnasium where every single day and on Saturday mornings, you've got pickup hoop action going on. And during the week after 6, they're going to rep that thing up for you as well. Huge gym. You've got great cardio, lifting facilities. It is state-of-the-art. It is spectacular. Best of all, if you love hooping, you're going to get that opportunity every single day at Pickup USA Fitness. Log on and get that membership right now and tell Scott that I sent you. Consistent pickup basketball at one place, Central Indiana. It's in Noblesville. PickupUSAFitness.com. Do it today. That's Pickup USA Fitness Noblesville, a better way to play.
My name is Kayla Sinders, and I work for Gleaners Food Bank. I am a local service manager for 3 counties in our 21-county service area, and I nominated Katie.
And I'm Jiffy Lube owner Steve Sanner. At Jiffy Lube, we are proud to support Hoosier charities that use their vehicles to do more to make Indiana a better place to live.
My name is Katie Wilkerson. I pick up at the mobile food pantries. The best part of volunteering to hand someone some food and see the smile on their face, the relief. Without my vehicle, there's no way I'd be able to do this. To go to any of the pantries, it's at least 18 miles.
Jiffy Lube of Indiana provides all of our Do More winners with free vehicle maintenance for a year. Because now at Jiffy Lube, our trained technicians do more to keep vehicles like theirs and yours on the road. Brakes, tires, batteries, and more. As well as Indiana's favorite oil change since 1985.
Jiffy Lube accepts competitors' coupons, so you don't have to choose between saving a few dollars versus treating your vehicle to Jiffy Lube's award-winning service. Click on JiffyLubeIndiana.com for a Jiffy Lube near you.
Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose the weight guaranteed, only $49.99. Also, stop smoking with Mark Patrick. This hypnosis is designed to destroy your desire to smoke without cravings, irritability, weight gain, or your money back. Seminars Thursday, January 19th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Noblesville. Weight loss 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking 8 p.m. And Saturday, January 21st at the Holiday Inn Indianapolis Airport. Weight loss 11 a.m. Stop smoking 2 p.m. Register at markpatrickseminars.com.
Now another Bills player is down. And they are intensely working on Damar Hamlin.
Nobody's concerned about football right now all the way around. America right now is concerned about one thing, the health and safety of this young man.
What happens next?
Tonight, Damar Hamlin's dream became a nightmare for not only himself, but his family and his entire team.
Happens here. 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. The Ride with JMV.
There's a kid in my class that got a boner at PE in high school. He was wearing sweatpants. It was really embarrassing, so this song goes out to him.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Coach's Tavern downtown, we're looking for you. Great food, and you got free samples. Larceny Bourbon, for example, flowing here. Larceny Bourbon Locks, Luna Azul Tequila Shots. Final weekend of the regular season, that is Week 18. Straight at you with me, Brent Halverson, and Tommy Sutton coming up here at the top of the hour. I did want to give a shout-out. Justin Barker on Twitter sent me a message, quote, I've got to hook up on barbecue Fritos. Oh, yeah, that's me. And now, see, I can't hear anything when I do that. Thank you, brother. I got to hook up on barbecue Fritos. I just got a box of them. 12 bags in the box, 7 left. Let me know if you want some. Oh, great day it is right here. Who would not want multi-bags of barbecue Fritos?
I don't know.
Who would not?
They're outstanding.
Oh, my goodness. That is old school fantastic. Justin Barker, shout out to you. Absolutely, I want multi-bags of barbecue Fritos. What a good luck on a Thursday here at Coach's Tavern. Meantime, Andy Moore Automotive Group Hotline, friend of the show from both the radio network, or the Pacers, and Bally Sports Indiana. Former NBA guard Eddie Gill is with us. I'm assuming, too, that you would want in on these barbecue Fritos, right? You'd want in? Want you a little something, too?
I'm not sure about the Frito thing. I'm not
come on, buddy. Hey, come on, man. Come on.
And you know what? And so the biggest thing is I'm not paid to stay in shape any longer, so I'm trying to figure out something from what I ingest.
Oh, do you keep track, do you?
Well, I try to. I have my days.
I will tell you this, for you guys when you're on the road, I can't imagine, because there probably is a lot of time spent on a treadmill somewhere in a hotel, because it's not like you're eating great, especially on a nearly 2-week, 7-game Western road swing, as you guys went through back in December. All right, Eddie, I want to double back to last night's game. I contend that had Andrew Nembhard taken 2 dribbles and crossed half court, the Pacers win last night. That's basically how close I felt they were to winning that game, because when you think about it, there's either going to be clock run or he's going to get fouled, go to the free throw line. At the very least, you go 1 of 2, you're up 5. I feel incredibly solid about that. And I'm not putting it all on him, because there was something else, another turnover that kind of led to their downfall in that tie at the end of regulation. But I think when you look at it in terms of what if, that's where I start.
Yeah, there's a handful of plays that they would like to have back. Obviously, that was one of them. But obviously, they get a ton of credit for battling back. Looks like they were out of that game and they were able to get back in there and looks like they're going to win it. In the latter part of that game, just a couple of mistakes away, and give the 76ers a lot of credit for what they were able to do. No Embiid, those other guys took it personally to some degree, and they were able to make plays as well.
You can speak from experience. You were in the NBA. This is a young team that's learning how to do a lot of things. And, in the NBA, there's a stat called, clutch situations. And the Pacers have been better more times than they haven't in clutch situations this year. But as a former player, how difficult is it for a youngster, especially at the guard position, to learn to salt away, to put away games like that, especially on the road?
Yeah, it's definitely a learning curve that they go through. And, with the veteran presence, you try to expedite that as best you can. We also know the experience is our best teacher as well. So it's good for them to be in the fire a little bit and feel what those experiences are like on this level. But, yeah, it's a difficult challenge when you're talking about being able to figure out ways to close games out, make the necessary decision, time, score, situation. How do you manage all those types of things in terms of when to be aggressive, when to look to make a play, when to pull it back a little bit, draw a foul, get to the free throw line, as you referenced, those types of things. So it's definitely a challenge in the speed of the game, the size of the guys that are out there. You're still trying to navigate all that as well, not only just the strategy.
So Eddie Gill's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. That final possession that Philly had to tie it up, maybe I'm wrong about this, and I know it's just like one moment again, but it seemed like that not everybody ran the floor. It seemed like that Myles went up for the block, momentum took him out of bounds, and then Tobias Harris kind of picked it up and laid it in, uncontested there for the tie. And I kind of thought Myles looked back and kind of wondered where his guys were at that point. Did you see that too?
Yeah, I mean, the Philly definitely had a head start in that space there, and Myles is back and makes a nice play. I'm definitely more 76ers in the picture than there were Pacers. The reasoning behind that I don't know, based on where the turnover happened, but plays like that, you want all your guys busting back, and you want everybody trying to make it a full effort to get back in play.
And the reason why I bring that up is this team hasn't done much of that, really very little. They don't, take for granted situations. They play it out. And you know this, in a long NBA season, if you've been there for a long time, veterans would tend to, go ahead and kind of defer and, this is middle of the season, whatever. But these guys haven't done that very often at all. They'll play till the end, play to the whistle, whatever cliche you want to use. And, last night just kind of seemed like that maybe at the end that wasn't one of those. But for the most part, that has not been an issue whatsoever with this group.
No, and that's what you want, especially with a young group. If Rick Carlisle and his staff is coaching effort, then there's a problem. The wealth of knowledge that staff has, and in terms of strategy and execution, you can't get to that from coaching effort, and that's on any level. This group has not been that type of group. They've done a great job of going out and playing hard, competing. Early on in the season, when they've gotten down in games, they seem to always battle back. You reference what they've been able to do in these clutch moments. They're it's like a 180-degree turn from what they were doing last year in terms of these close games. They've done a great job of kind of locking in on the details, getting stops to just give them an opportunity to get on the other end and score. Because in those clutch situations, we know both teams play with a little bit more intensity. They play with a little bit more sense of urgency. And the Pacers are definitely coming out, winners more than they're not in these situations here of late.
Pacers get the Blazers coming up tomorrow night. Eddie Gill from the radio network and the Bally Sports Indiana joins us via the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. They got to get a little payback coming up tomorrow night, by the way, against the Blazers from that roadie about a month ago. But I want to look at this team for a moment, and we know the type of situation when Myles is on the floor. It seems like everybody has their rearview mirrors on. They know that he's there. They expect him being there, and that changes the dynamic when you think about that. Certainly to those on the other team. But I'm curious your thoughts on Buddy Hield, because advanced scouting and all, can you tell now that there is the utmost respect, certainly a lot more respect on not just closing out on his three, but maybe trying to get there before the ball is reversed to him now? That type of shot-making respect that we have seen in the past couple of weeks, considering the tear shooting the basketball Buddy's on?
Yeah, he's on a heater like we haven't seen before, and to your point, teams are now overreacting, right?
Yes.
So, and you've seen a lot where, I don't know, it's a handful of times each game where he's able to just get to the rim and lay it in as if nobody else is on the floor, and that's because of their overreaction on the 3-point line, because he's the guy who's willing to take it with defenders close to him. Or you would seem to be that they're contested and it looks like it's a bad shot, but he's taking and making those shots right now. So teams are definitely overreacting, and now he has the ability to get all the way to the rim, lay it in. We've seen him make a couple plays for teammates. He's dropping it off for Myles and Jalen and those guys at the rim sometimes. His shot making is just invaluable right now, and even if he starts off cold or not, teams have to respect it. And now that just opens the floor up more for Tyrese Haliburton to do his thing in pick and rolls.
You bring up a great point, too, because it gives him an opportunity. I mean, we know this, that in the NBA, these guys 95% of the time close out of control. And when you have that on your mind, that this guy is stroking it at that level, they're closing out of control. He's, getting into the painted area and getting layups, left-handed layups in the front of the rim, whatever. But the point I made last week is after that Cleveland game, there were a couple of different times where Haliburton had the option to pass it into the corner, ball faked, and Donovan Mitchell came out and covered Buddy before the ball got there because of the tear that is on, which led to 2 made threes by Haliburton. That alone is, to me, kind of like what Myles brings to the table. And that advanced scouting, these guys know where these guys and what these guys have been doing.
I think that gives you a really good advantage of both offensively and defensively, turning a possession into some chaos. And that's something, especially with Buddy in mind, that you did not see at the beginning of this season, teams covering him like that offensively.
Yeah, when you have guys like that on the floor, it just makes it so much easier for everybody else to kind of get off. And Tyrese Halliburton has been shooting the ball extremely well himself, so now they've really got a problem if you're the defense in terms of – and I know exactly which play you're talking about. It was on the left side of the floor when Buddy Hield was sitting there in the corner. And, and Garland was like, hey, I'm letting anybody else shoot it in the building except for this guy. and Tyrese Halliburton was wide open for that left wing three-point shot. But, it makes it just so much easier when you have elite players on the floor, doing things like that, because the other guys have opportunity to, whether it's the jump shot, whether it's getting to the rim. Now they have more room to operate because the help defense there's not going to be help defense where in other cases there might be. And now you just see a lot of open shots on the perimeter and then also finishes at the rim.
Eddie Gill joins us. Have we seen slowly but surely here Aaron Nesmith find a role and be consistent in that role as of late?
Yeah, I mean, I'm super excited and happy for Aaron Nesmith. I love to see guys who kind of, had to sit for a minute and wait their turn. He's out in Boston. He's playing behind Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. It's going to be hard to crack those minutes. Granted, he's a young player, and maybe down the line he would have, but he definitely would have had to wait his turn. He comes here. There's some opportunity. And initially he earns his spot on the floor by guarding anybody and everybody, specifically the best players on the floor. He and Nembhard have kind of taken on that task of guarding the best perimeter players on the opposing team. But now we've seen his offense just take off with three-point shooting. We saw the finish that he had, the dunk that he had a couple games back. And he's an elite free-throw shooter. He hasn't missed one in several games. I think he's like 24 in a row, 25 in a row. I can't remember what it is. But, man, I couldn't be happier for him, and he's definitely found his niche and where he can be effective for this team.
Eddie, before I let you go, Isaiah Jackson is, giving some good time in Fort Wayne right now to give him a little bit of run, and the reason for that is because it seems like Rick Carlisle, this team, and Jalen Smith himself have become really comfortable in that backup big role for Jalen Smith. What have you noticed about that, the evolution of that, and is that something you think is going to be here for the remainder of the season? Do you like it?
In terms of Jalen Smith being the backup there?
Yeah, being the backup and just going between he and Myles. I know that kind of, I guess you would say, could stunt the growth of Isaiah Jackson, but at the same time, it seems like the best means in which to be effective, both offensively and defensively, in that big role for the Pacers.
Yeah, and I think it's been incredibly effective, and then to give them some more confidence in that, the guy you referenced before, Nesmith, has been able to go in and into the starting lineup and been really effective. Jalen Smith can come off the bench now, and he can go to the 5 position instead of trying to play the 4 alongside Myles. And he's done a heck of a job of just rebounding and scrapping and just outworking guys. I think a couple of games ago he had about 7 offensive rebounds. He's done great in pick and rolls. He's had his fair share of blocks as well. So it's definitely worked well. They've found something with this rotation, both the starting group and obviously that bench unit has been tremendous. Jalen Smith has been a big part of that unit. And then as far as Isaiah Jackson, I think it's important that he continues to get reps. So this is where the G League comes in big play here, and so incredibly positive for overall the NBA as a whole, right? When you have guys like that, a high draft pick who may have to wait his turn to some degree, but he can still go get some good playing experience.
Last time out against the Blazers didn't go that well. Yeah, we saw that. I think the low mark of that game was Pacers gave up 39 in that third quarter, lost by 16. What's your impression on this matchup from what you've looked at so far in prep for that matchup tomorrow night at Gainbridge Fieldhouse?
Yeah, once again, you'll have your hands full. There's no nights off, and definitely when you have a team like that with a lot of scoring and firepower with the team that they have. So that's an area of improvement that the Pacers will continue to seek night in and night out. Is really trying to lock in on the defensive end. They've been so good offensively, but on nights where your offense falters, you got to be able to hang your hat on the defensive end to be able to keep yourself in the game. So one of the best guards in the game, Damian Lillard, coming into town. Anthony Simons is a dynamic scorer. So again, a really good backcourt and strong perimeter play there. So focus on trying to contain the penetration, I think, is the biggest thing for this team, regardless of the opponent. Control the ball on the perimeter. That solves for a lot of problems overall as your defense and definitely your rebounding.
What's funny about this is I really like Jeremy Grant. Jeremy Grant over 22 points per game. Always seems like he doesn't get enough run for what he is. Like, I give you a great example. I think if he were on this Pacer team, he would be an incredible addition to them and what they are right now and who they want to be right now. I'm not suggesting that's in the cards, but that's what I think about him as a player and what he has transitioned to, certainly in the past couple of years.
Yeah, there's no question about it. I love Jeremy Grant. His versatility is amazing. Think back what he was able to do with the Nuggets, with Jokic and Murray. Then he goes to the Pistons. Obviously, they're a rebuilding team, so he's the kind of guy that this is a good fit for him to be on the team that's trying to win now. They're trying to get some things done. They have some other veterans, really good players, but his versatility is incredible on both ends of the floor. And he's a tough cover. He's one of my favorite players in the game for sure.
To Eddie Gill, hear him, watch him. He's the full bag right there, both TV and radio, even though he completely dismissed barbecue Fritos. That's all right, buddy. It's all right, man. You're still my guy right there. But enjoy listening, enjoy watching, and have a great call coming up tomorrow night for the Blazers and the Pacers at the Fieldhouse. Good to have you back.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you having me.
It's Eddie Gill right there on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I've always been a big fan of Jeremy Grant. He mentioned that. I think he hit that right on the target. He's a very versatile player. Like, we were talking a little bit earlier to some folks about the Pacers, and I'm not suggesting they're going to go out and make any trades, but we kind of, people bring up OG Anunoby. People have brought up Kyle Kuzma, guys like that. A guy like Jeremy Grant, I think, mixed in with this team. Again, it's not going to happen. I'm just, because they're playing here tomorrow night, I'm giving you an example. That's very intriguing to me. I just thought his versatility would do a team up and coming and growing like the Pacers a great deal of good. You get to see him coming up tomorrow night. I believe he's listed as day-to-day right now, but over 22 per game. The Blazers and Jeremy Grant in town coming up tomorrow. Coach's Tavern, we're downtown. Larceny Bourbon Locks, Luna Azul Tequila Shots. This is a Thursday, the final regular season weekend. Our picks coming up at the top of the hour. Tommy Sutton, betting analyst Brent Halverson, and me, JMV. 4:30, Carson Steele, UCLA, the 2020 Mr. Football in the state of Indiana from Center Grove, is going to join us. I believe he has a pet alligator, so we'll have to bring that up as well. And then Mike Chappell coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
Hey, Alexa, you want to go out with me?
Fat chance. Dog breath.
Okay, I was just asking.
If you want to do the smart thing, say, Alexa, play 107.5 The Fan.
Now that's smart.
How about this for the perfect holiday gift? Get moving again, pain-free. You can do that via QC Kinetics. They are the nation's leader in advanced regenerative medicine, taking unique protocols that use healing agents from your own body to target aching joints, repairing and restoring damaged tissue, so you can move again with no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. Got shoulder pain, excruciating hip pain? You have any arthritis or lingering pain from an injury? Don't let them operate on you or give you more steroids. You call QC Kinetics with locations in Eagle Creek and Greenwood and get a free consultation today. This is the future of joint pain management, and appointments are available as soon as the next week. So make 2023 the year you say goodbye to joint pain. Call QC Kinetics. That's 317-559-PAIN in Eagle Creek and Greenwood. Give QC Kinetics a call today. 317-559-PAIN.
Hey, it's JMV here for my friends. Happy birthday, by the way, to Jason Gedham of Gedham Associates. 2023 sounds like a great year for you to finally do that custom remodel, and I have the folks for you. My friends at Gedham Associates, they'll do anything for you, too. Interior, exterior, kitchens, baths, screened-in porches, and more. In fact, I think I need handled all of the above right now. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go with the birthday guy, Jason Gedham, and Gedham Associates today. You should too. 35 years of experience serving Central Indiana. They are the best. And you can even check out their Google reviews. Find them online. That's Gedham.com, Gettum.com today. Tell them JMV sent you.
Shop limited time deals at the Truckload event at Lowe's, happening now. Save big on your favorites across the store. During this event, get up to 50% off select tools and accessories. Plus, find the perfect floor tile for your home for less. Get up to 50% off select styles while you can. Head to your local Lowe's store or visit Lowes.com to shop the Truckload event today. Valid 12/29 to 1/25 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. See Lowes.com for details. Discount taken at time of purchase.
The Pacers welcome the Portland Trail Blazers to the Fieldhouse tomorrow evening at 6:30 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Eddie Gill. Eddie Gill, the former NBA guard and, of course, of the radio and television network, Bally Sports Indiana, the radio network right here, in which we are a part of. Talk Pacers. Pacers lose last night in overtime by 3 to the Sixers. They get the Trailblazers coming up tomorrow night at Gainbridge Field House. Eddie Gill, podcast 1075thefan.com. Carson Steele, UCLA, Mike Chappell, 5 o'clock hour. Colts conversation coming at you as well. Good news regarding Damar Hamlin today. He's showing, as what they're saying, substantial improvement in his recovery, and we all know the story from Monday night. This is some of the best news that we have heard all week, which is spectacular. Absolutely spectacular. Long road back, but the signs are beyond good, beyond positive right now. All right, top of the hour, Larceny Bourbon Locks and Luna Azul Tequila Shots. We'll welcome back Tommy Sutton here at Coach's Tavern, Brent Halverson, our betting analyst. Honestly, over 75% of these games, I would not choose to bet this weekend. That's how whack they are. You agree?
Absolutely. You got to really look at it. I mean, some of those ugly games, though, John, I'll look at different things like the team totals for the Bears and Houston, who both those teams are really fighting for that first pick, right? So I don't see them doing much, right? I mean, there's a couple of games. Maybe the Colts game, the Broncos, the team totals. Look at the under in those. That's how you can make that's how you, what they can say, polish a turd. Polish a turd.
Polish a turd. I'm telling you, though, there are so many of these things where you're just tossed. What is a 14.5-point spread between the Giants
14.
and the Eagles?
Yeah, 14.
There's just stuff I would not touch, Tommy S., with a 10-foot pole, brother. I wouldn't do
touch
it.
any of those games. Well, I'd spend somebody else's money. That's
There's no doubt, yeah. With somebody else's,
your money this weekend.
with somebody else, I would probably do that as well, but not any of these. There's no question.
You know, there's also some stuff that I looked at earlier, too. There's a lot of players that will be playing for bonuses, right? So, like Zay Jones for Jacksonville. He needs, I think he needs 3 receptions and 20 yards, and he gets $500,000.
Exactly. You got to look at the bonus. Yes.
These guys know this, and there's a lot. There's 10 of them that I went through and marked down like, hey, they're going to go after this. This team's still playing, right?
Yes.
They're going to go after him. They're going to get him. Christian Kirk, he needs over 50 yards to get $500,000. So they're going to go for him. You know, granted, now they're playing to win. But they know that in their back of their head. Those quarterbacks know who to take care of when they get paid, too.
There is no NFL weekend during the course of the season where you have to go deeper dive and research as a betting analyst as you have right now than this one.
Oh, absolutely.
Because of that very thing.
Again, like you said, 75% of these games pretty much out the door. But there's a little silver lining in a couple of them if you peek at them.
Yeah, I'm telling you, there's some tough stuff out there, too. Dolphins, Jets, another one, too. We'll dive into that coming up at the top of the hour. Brent Halverson, our betting analyst, and Tom Sutton is the owner of Coach's Tavern. That's our location. The free samples are flowing. I see you here. We've seen your request, and we'll send that down to you coming up in a minute as well. You got great food, and you've got great action tonight, too. If you come on down, you can watch Purdue and Ohio State at 7, IU and Iowa coming up at 9 o'clock tonight. We'll talk about that as well. Carson Steele in the 4 o'clock hour, Mike Chappell coming up after 5. Hour 2 straight ahead on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Your home for Indy sports. Now with even more ways to listen.
Listen on air.
Online at 1075thefan.com.
And on our free app.
Stay connected to all things Indy sports, including the latest news, show blogs, and catch up on what you've missed with our podcast.
We're never more than just a click away.
Download our app at Google Play and on the App Store. From your home for Indy sports.
93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Larceny Bourbon Locks, Luna Azul Tequila the Shots, final weekend of the regular season, and it is whack. You talk about having to do some research on this, but the research you really don't have to do of greatness is from the umbrella beneath that of the Heaven Hill Distillery. Our betting analyst, Britt Halverson, knows all about the great products.
John, great brands like Evan Williams and all the flavors, the whole family of Evan Williams, Larceny, Luna Azul, Elijah Craig. We mentioned them all, and again, Heaven Hill been lifting spirits since 1935.
There's nothing wrong with that. Heaven Hill Distillery and our Larceny Bourbon Locks and Luna Azul Tequila Shots. Coach's Tavern, downtown, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
Puccini's Pizza, Pasta, Puccini's. 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 Puccini's Pizza, Pasta, Puccini's.
93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
WIBC HD2, W298BB, WIBC HD3, W228CX, Indianapolis.
Soccer Saturday featuring Indy 11. If this is your football, this is your show. Saturday at 9 on The Fan. The Ride with JMV.
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Coach's Tavern. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're inside the lounge via YouTube Live, as AC/DC once famously said, have a drink on me. Cheers to you there. Cam's the on-site engineer. You got James back in the studio. Zach and Landon here at Coach's Tavern working promotions for us. Tommy Sutton's the owner. Brent Halverson, our betting analyst. Week 18, which is the regular season finale. Before we dive into our picks coming up here in just a second, I did want to remind you, you got back-to-back tonight. You got Purdue and Ohio State. Purdue are road dogs in Columbus coming up later on tonight. That tip time is at 7 o'clock. What is it, Value City Arena, I believe, over in Columbus for them tonight. And then 9 o'clock. IU has not played in a long time. Of course, no Xavier Johnson. We know that. Hopefully, Trace Jackson Davis is back and is feeling good. And they've got a matchup coming up tonight on the road in Iowa. Carver Hawkeye tip time is at 9 o'clock. And I just want to remind you, if you want to watch it, have great food, and then get involved in some of what Heaven Hill Distillery has for you here at Coach's Tavern. No better place to do that than Coach's Tavern here on a Thursday night. Everything for you as well. All right, fellas, before we kick off and get into the final weekend of the regular season, anything, any inspiration, anything you want to hit?
Well, what I just came across, John, AP sources, they will not resume the Bills-Bengals game.
Right.
And then, again, that's kind of coming out. It's not officially official because I know the
But the good news is that Damar Hamlin is making strides, incredible strides
He's
right now.
communicating.
That is,
that's just like it's a feel-good story.
Yeah, it is. Just keep going with that feel-good.
Scariest thing I've ever seen on a football field.
Oh, it was. When you see those players, I mean, when you watch it, I had chills and just I couldn't stop. I mean, just a lot of. I love the way that they worked it out and made it happen. Unprecedented time, and they made the right call.
Hats off to the medical professionals that were on site and University of Cincinnati Medical.
The nation was gripped without question.
Yeah,
and you sit there and wonder, and we are just conditioned now, unless you're just the utmost positive, to think the worst. And I will say this, because we've been around, fellas, IndyCar all our lives around here. When you have something bad that happens in racing, you're conditioned to kind of understand if there's no news, it's really, really bad news.
Absolutely.
And that was the feeling that we had on Monday. And to get this type of positivity going into 3 days later, that is beyond a feel-good right there, fellas.
Oh, it is.
It really is.
It is. And how, look at the Monday night crew, Adam Schefter and Booger, and the way they had to handle and jump in, and you could just see their distraughtness, right? Like, they just watched this happen and had to go through and report it. So it's, like you said, it's great to be able to report some great stuff coming out of Cincinnati, and hats off to all the teammates.
Oh, man. And those first responders saved the guy's alive.
Absolutely.
And just the outpouring from the NFL community. Did you see he has a toy drive?
Yeah.
His goal was like
$2,500,
and there's like $7 million.
Yeah. As of yesterday, I think it was 6.5. It's probably 7 now, as you mentioned. Tommy is Jim Irsay,
Tom Brady, a whole lot of guys
donated $25,003 yesterday to Robert Kraft. 18. So
that's pretty awesome.
Everybody come together on that, which is nice.
That's absolutely right. So that's the best thing that's happening. Now we're going to roll into Week 18, and again, still a lot of big playoff implications out there. And like you mentioned earlier, some games that don't really mean a lot, but you can kind of find a silver lining, peeking at a few potential prop plays.
We got a couple of Saturday games, and one is a big one within the AFC South for, as they say, all the marbles. James, cue the music. Let's hear the band. Our Week 18 Larceny Bourbon Locks and Luna Azul Tequila Shots. Let's start in Vegas, 4:30. Coming up on Saturday afternoon. Billy, good to see you right there. Get that free sample. 9.5-point favorites. Kansas City still playing for something out west right now. On the road against Jarrett Stidham at quarterback and the Vegas Raiders. This is pretty easy for me. I'm going to go ahead and lay the 9.5, and I'm going to take a consistent rush of the Chiefs being all over the Raiders coming up on Saturday afternoon. Brent Holverson, what say you?
These two Saturday games, I mean, the great games to kind of go with here. And like we just mentioned, Kansas City, from what I'm understanding and seeing, if there is no game played, which doesn't look like there's going to be any kind of makeup, so they're going to go to a winning percentage. Kansas City wins this game, they get the 1 seed.
Right.
So I'm with you on that, John. I'm going to lay that 9.5 and talk about Mr. Consistency. They're not good covering against the spread. They're 5-10, but you got Patrick Mahomes back there, and he makes magic happen. Again, those Raiders, Jarrett Stidham's quarterback, and he went off a little bit last week, for over 300 yards. I don't think they're going to get it done. Kansas City, minus 9.5.
Big-time focus in the final weekend for the Chiefs. Tommy S., what say you?
Well, the Raiders were pretty impressive last week against the Niners. About beat them with Stidham at quarterback. I think I like taking that 9.5-point home dog. I think the Chiefs win, but I don't think they cover.
8:15 on Saturday night for all the marbles within the AFC South. The Jaguars and the Titans. Titans are 6-point underdogs on the road in Jacksonville. Josh Dobbs, the veteran QB, is getting the start for the Titans. Titans now rested everybody last week. We got a different philosophy going here. The Titans rested everybody, including Derrick Henry, in preparation for this winner-take-all matchup. Meantime, Jacksonville played everybody, got into a groove. I am a non-believer in Dobbs, so Joshua Dobbs, my bad. I'm going to go ahead and lay the 6. I'm going to take the Jaguars to win the AFC South. Betting analyst Brent Holverson on Saturday night.
All comes down to win this game and you're in, right? Between these two teams, whoever wins, you're going to be playing in that 7 seed right there. I actually think, I really like Jacksonville here. Jacksonville, they've been playing some good football. Tennessee has had that quarterback problem they've been kind of holding out with. I think Jacksonville comes in. I think they cover the 6 pretty easy. I'm going to take Jacksonville, lay the 6 with you, John.
Tommy, yes, talk to us.
This is for the AFC South title.
This is, yes.
Okay.
So it'll be the 4 seed. It'll be
winner
4
gets
seed,
the 4 seed.
Yeah,
okay. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I really like Jacksonville right now. They're on the up and up. Tennessee's on the down. I'll take Jacksonville, lay those 6 points.
All right, this may not be of a lot of interest because I believe the Buccaneers right now are locked in to the 4 seed, the NFC South champions. They are on the road against Atlanta, and as it stands right now, they are 4-point dogs on the road. You guys, you not staying around at all? Thank you, my guys. My guys from the shop. That is BK and Alex from the shop in Broad Ripple and Carmel. You know I love you guys right there. 1 o'clock to start coming up on Sunday. Desmond Ridder, the rookie quarterback for the Falcons. I'm going to go ahead and take the 4, and I'm going to take the Buccaneers on the road, even though they're locked into that 4 as the NFC South champions coming up at 1 o'clock on Sunday. Brent Halverson.
Well, as bad as Tampa Bay's been playing, again, they are locked in. They're going to be resting a lot of their key contributors. You're going to have some people out there trying to earn some job respect. I just don't see it. I think Atlanta here, just with Desmond Ridder, he's had a couple games under his belt now. They're playing everybody they got. Granted, they only won 6 games on the year. I think they're going to come out there, and I think they're going to cover that 4. Again, not a big sexy game I'd probably do a lot with, but I take Atlanta, lay the 4 at home.
Tommy Sutton.
I think Tampa is going to play some people because Tom Brady still seems to have some issues with his receivers as far as chemistry goes.
Yeah.
So I think they kind of want to dial in for the playoffs. Hey, maybe they can get an upset.
No issues last week between him and Mike Evans.
No.
I mean, you talk about a couple of fantasy spots right there. If you had Brady and Evans, I'm guaranteeing you if you were playing for a title last weekend, you won it.
I think Brady put up 45 points fantasy-wise, and then Evans had close to 40 as well.
Because all those passes were going to him. No doubt. He doubled down on that stuff. Tommy, yes, I'm sorry. Did I interrupt you? Go ahead.
You're fine. I'll take Tampa Bay and the 4 points.
All right, we got our Larceny Bourbon Locks and Luna Azul Tequila Shots. Another 1 o'clock start on Sunday. New England 7-point underdogs on the road at Buffalo. You know the story with Buffalo and what took place on Monday night. We know now that they're not going to make up that Monday night game with the Bengals. All that aside, the Patriots pushing for a playoff spot. Ultimately, they're going to be overmatched, both offensively and defensively, coming up on the road. There's still seeding going on with the Bills, and you've got, obviously, in their mind, Damar Hamlin as well. Yeah, this all is going to equate to the Bills running away with it coming up on Sunday. Lay that 7. Brent, take Buffalo at home.
Something to watch here, John, is the winner of that Kansas City game Saturday night, right? So Kansas City wins. They're taking that 1 seed.
Yeah.
So if that happens, it might shift a little bit on how Buffalo plays, but I think there's going to be so much enthusiasm and rejoice of seeing what Damar's gone through and came out, and now we're getting some positive light. I think they're going to go out there and just win one for him and win it in full fashion. Plus, they didn't play last week, so they got to get kind of tuned up, ready to go. I don't see them holding the pedal back here. I don't think New England's a playoff-worthy team. Give me Buffalo. I'll lay the 7 with you.
Tommy.
Yeah, I think Buffalo comes out inspired after everything they've been through this week. And like Brent said, they just got great news about their teammate. That's going to lift their spirits. Buffalo's just a better team, and I think Bills Mafia is going to be extra rowdy this weekend at Buffalo. So I'll lay those 7 points.
Week 18, Larceny Bourbon Locks, Luna Azul Tequila Shots live from Coach's Tavern downtown with betting analyst Brent Halverson, owner Tommy Sutton here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. This one for Tommy S. We'll start with Brent on this as well. Vikings, as of right now, on the road at Chicago. On my sheet, it is a 7.5-point favorite. Now, as Tommy S. can allude to, not a lot going on here with this Vikings team other than trying to tune up, because you want to tune up before you go to the postseason and get tuned up. Whether we're talking about Kirk Cousins or Justin Jefferson or Dalvin Cook, it is tune-up time to get yourself ready. I'm going to go ahead and lay that 7.5 and take the Vikings, Brent Halverson, on the road.
Yeah, I'm with you, and there's a little bit to be playing with here for the Vikings, and there's also that angle about the Bears losing and potentially getting the number 1 pick overall. Right. So I'm going to look at that pretty big here. That hook kind of scares me, but not in this game really. And the reason why, John and Tommy, is Minnesota, they're playing a 1 o'clock game. The only game that really matters to them as far as seeding goes is going to be that 4:25 San Francisco game. San Francisco loses, Minnesota wins, Minnesota can get the 2 seed. So they're playing for that. That's a pretty big seed to have. I would actually like to see that too. So I'm going to be rooting for Minnesota to get this big W and San Francisco to lose. Give me Minnesota, lay the 7.5. Always buy the hook when you're on that key number.
Mr. Viking, Tommy S.
Yeah, excuse me, interesting game. The Vikings are beat up. We just lost our right tackle, Ryan O'Neal, for the season. Partially torn Achilles, which is a huge loss for him. But I think Minnesota's going to come out and prove, hey, last week, we got our butts whipped in Green Bay. We're coming out. We're just going to lay it all out there and just beat the brakes off the Bears, who no Justin Fields to worry about. So, yeah, I'll take that 7.5. Mike Colby said, by the hook.
Nathan Peterman is your quarterback for the Chicago Bears.
There it is.
Nathan
And we talked about that a little bit earlier, too. You have to factor in all of this. So
you absolutely do.
Clearly, the Bears are trying beyond trying. So it may not be that much resistance.
Yeah.
When it comes to the Bears.
Absolutely.
And that Vikings game coming up on Sunday. 1 o'clock to start. The Ravens and the Bengals and Cincinnati. And again, the Bengals, the other half of that team equation on the field on Monday night with what went down. Did not play that game. Will not make it up. I'm going to go ahead as it stands right now. Bengals are 7-point home favorites. Lay that. Take the Bengals coming up on Sunday afternoon, Brent.
Yeah, this game, again, like you said, there's a lot going on there from what the carryover from Monday. Tyler Huntley being quarterback at Baltimore. I don't know if we'll see Lamar Jackson ever play for the Baltimore Ravens again, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So with all that said, I know Baltimore's still got a lot of fighting to do in them. I just don't see it. I think Cincinnati's going to come back. They're going to get back, going to scratch the surface a little bit, get ready for the playoffs. And they got some great implications there, too. So they'll kind of watch and see what's going on, and they have some action to move up. Give me the Bengals. I'll lay the 7.
What do you got, Tommy S.?
I think that Cincinnati is just going to come out and play real well, and Baltimore's on the down and down. Cincinnati's got stuff to play for. This is actually my larceny lock of the week. I'm taking Cincinnati, lay the 7.
It's Larceny Bourbon Locks, Luna Zul Tequila Shots. It has been just a twisting mess for the past month or so for the Miami Dolphins, especially injuries at quarterback from Tua to Teddy Bridgewater with that finger. You go back to week 5, blown out by the Jets in New York. That's the Dolphins and the Jets, a part of week 18 of the NFL. Again, coming up on Sunday at 1 o'clock. The Jets right now are 1-point favorites on the road in Miami. I'll lay that 1 and take the Jets in this roadie. Brent?
I don't know. I mean, this game's really odd here. The Jets are eliminated. They are playing for nothing. Miami has a chip in the chair. They're still alive. Dolphins can clinch a playoff berth with a win over the Jets, plus they need a New England Patriot loss to the Bills, or a tie with plus a loss to the Patriots and a Steelers loss. So there's a lot of stuff that needs to happen, but they still have a chance, right? I think they're going to go out there and play, even with Skylar Thompson behind the wheel at quarterback for Miami, I believe, against Mike White.
Yep.
I don't understand it really. I'm going to go ahead and take the +1 with the Miami Dolphins playing for a wide shot.
Tommy Sutton, hello.
Yeah, Miami playing with a third-string quarterback. They're just banged up, and they do need a lot to happen. I don't think they're going to get into the playoffs. I'd take the Jets, lay the 1.
Hey, how about this one coming up? Panthers and the Saints. There's not a lot of great love there, but the Saints, really did it to the Eagles. I know that obviously without Jalen Hurts, maybe that wasn't so difficult to do, but we'll get to Jalen Hurts and the Eagles coming up in just a minute. But you got the Panthers and the Saints. Not much there as far as expectations. So here's what I'm going to do with this game. I'm going to go ahead and lay, I guess, the hotter team right now. Lay the 3.5 and take the Saints at home at 1 o'clock against Carolina, Brent, on Sunday.
Yeah, this is one of those games that we just kind of scratch off the board, right? This is nothing here. I don't even have any good any props for this game other than, you're right, New Orleans has been playing pretty decent football as of late. 3 at home. I'll take New Orleans. I'll lay the 3.5 by the hook.
Tommy S., what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to roll the Saints, too, because in Carolina, you just don't know what you're going to get with them week in, week out. Saints look pretty well. Almost made a playoff push, came up just short. So, by the hook, give me New Orleans -3.
All right, you got the Steelers. I'm going to tell you what, Mike Tomlin, regardless of any postseason, they just have been able to have winning seasons. And this is another opportunity for those to have one of those in Pittsburgh with Mike Tomlin. So I'm going to look at this matchup with the Browns. You got 2.5-point favorites, the Steelers at home. I think I like Mike Tomlin and the Steelers to get that done. Lay the 2.5 and take Pittsburgh at home in that finale of the regular season. Brent?
Yeah, normally this would be a great grind-em-out football game, and I think it still will be. Cleveland's playing a little bit better, still doing that Deshaun Watson kind of experiment, get him a little bit more dialed in for next season. They're completely out of it, not playing for anything. Pittsburgh, again, another team with a chip in the chair. I think Pittsburgh is going to get the win. I think they're going to cover this 2.5. And then if Miami loses and the Patriots lose, Pittsburgh's going dancing. So give me the Steelers to cover that 2.5.
Tommy Sutton.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I'm going to take Pittsburgh. I'll take the 2.5. I think they cover that pretty easy. Cleveland's they're not that good. And Pittsburgh, Mike Tomlin, he's just a heck of a coach. He always is. Has his boys playing hard.
4 o'clock window game starts with the Chargers and the Broncos in the AFC West coming up at 4:25. I want to say, because I haven't really factored in the lack of that game and the whole winning percentage and those seedings yet, but as it stood, I believe the Chargers are locked into the 5 seed in the AFC right now. Offensively, with their 1-2 punch of Justin Herbert and Austin Eckler, They've been putting up some numbers. They're going to continue to do that, and we know the Broncos this season have been an absolute mess. They're getting 1.5 points on the road at Denver. I'm going to go ahead and take that anyway. And listen, there may be a lot of dramatic changes in this game for the Chargers considering their position, but maybe keeping the flow going. I think they're going to do it enough to go ahead and take that 1.5 on the road and give me the Chargers or the all-out win.
Yeah, you're right. They are locked in at the 5th seed. Nothing to play to make them worse, better, or anything else. So I'm with you, though, John. I'm going to take that 1.5 for the sole fact that Denver's sitting at 4-12 on the year. They're also looking for a quarterback, and they want to have a pretty high draft point spot. Here's a play I do love in this game. The team total, Denver Broncos under 21 points. Team total under 21 points. I don't know how many games they've scored over 20 points throughout the year. Maybe 2, but that'd be a good stat to look at. That's my favorite, but I'll take the Chargers as well, plus 1.5 on the road.
Tommy, yes, what do you got?
Yeah, I don't know if the Chargers even playing anybody this weekend. Do we know? Is Herbert playing?
I had not heard. I guess that maybe just to keep some momentum, but to me, still, regardless, they're going to have enough to get it with a Denver team that probably is looking at more where they're going to pick than anything else.
I think the line shows you he's not going to play hardly, or maybe a lot of those guys won't. They probably might play a series or 2, but again, like what
there's a reason why they're getting 1.5.
There's a reason why, but I still think they're probably the better team.
And Denver can't score, so
right.
I'll take the Chargers plus 1.5.
All right, the Eagles, looks like they're getting Jalen Hurts back. That would be good. They're trying to hold off the Cowboys and the 49ers right now. A little bit of rough waters for the Eagles lately, especially against the Saints last week. As it stands going into Sunday at 4:25, 14.5-point favorites over the Giants. The Giants coming off that win over the Colts in easy fashion last week. This is weird, and I normally wouldn't do this, but what the hell right now? It's the end of the season. Lay the 14.5 and take the Eagles with the expected Jalen Hurts return under center on Sunday afternoon. Brent?
Yeah, that's a lot of points, especially with a division rivalry like this. The Giants and Philly, they always have tough games, and I know this is a little bit different story here. The Giants are locked in at the 6th seed. Again, can't get better, can't get worse. They're already going to the dance. Locked in. However, Brian Daboll, he doesn't want Philly to win. So I think they're going to play quite a few of their players, more so than what you would think later into the game. I'm going to take the Giants plus the 14.5.
Tommy.
Well, remember these teams met a few weeks ago in Meadowlands, and the Eagles absolutely embarrassed them by like 27 points or something. Jalen Hurts coming back. Philly kind of want to get some momentum going in. They want that 1 seed, get rested up. I don't think the Giants are going to play too many people. They're locked in the 6th seed. They know they're either going to Minnesota or San Francisco in week 1 of the playoffs. I'll lay that 14.5.
Larceny Bourbon Locks, Luna Azul Tequila Shots, final regular season weekend, week 18 here from Coach's Tavern, 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Tommy Sutton, betting analyst Brent Halverson, me, JMV. Frisco still got something to play for, so their principals should be out there. Brock Purdy and others. I've loved Frisco for most of the year. 14-point favorite they are at home against the banged-up, dinged-up, and can't wait to get to the finish Arizona Cardinals. Lay the 14. Take Frisco at home Sunday afternoon. Brent Halverson.
Yeah, another big point total here, but you know what? I think you're onto something here, John. I mean, that's a big number. They are playing for something. They're going to be a lot of scoreboard watching in this game, too. They're going to be watching to see what's going on in that Philly game because that will allow the 49ers to possibly move up. There's all kinds of little things that could still happen. I like the 49ers with you. I'll lay the 14.
What you got, Tommy?
Yeah, I don't see Arizona being able to score against that 49er defense, man. They are scary. San Francisco still a lot to play for. I'll take that 14.
Here's a little something else in that game, too, gentlemen. Another one of those team totals to look at. You got the 4-12 Cardinals. Team total at 13.5. I don't know that they can put up more than 9, if that. So I like that team total under 13.5.
All right, guys, Rams and Seahawks coming up at 4:25. I guess the Seahawks are just going to see where they are and look at it this way. With Geno Smith as quarterback and getting out from under Russell Wilson, this has been a successful season for Pete Carroll and John Snyder, regardless of making the postseason or not in Seattle. And that's how I look at it right now. Closing strong, regardless of the situation. 6-point favorites at home, the Seahawks over the Rams. The Rams have been a mess, injury-wise and everything else all season long. Lay the 6, take the Seahawks at home. Brent.
Yeah, talk about a game that's going to have a lot of implications even moving forward after that, the big game that night. So you got the 4:25 game with Seattle laying 6. I love it. I think Seattle's going to go out and play really, really good. I think they're just going to blanket the Rams here. It's my larceny lock of the week. It's going to be Seattle Seahawks lay the 6. If Seattle wins and if Detroit beats Green Bay, Seattle's in the playoffs. If Seattle wins, Green Bay beats Detroit, Green Bay is in the playoffs. If Seattle loses, I mean, that's just how it all happens, right? So they've got to play. Nothing else that they're going to see determines anything other than the game after them. They're giving it all they got. Seattle, lay the 6.
What do you got, Tommy?
Yeah, I think Seattle's going to. I mean, they have a lot to play for. They can still get in. The Rams, as you said, are just banged up. They're Baker Mayfield starting for them. Hasn't looked that bad for them, but Seattle's a tough place to play. It's loud. I'm taking Seattle -6.
All right, up next, we'll see what the Cowboys can do on the road against the Washington Commanders in what I have not heard. I'm assuming could be the final game as head coach for Ron Rivera. I guess we'll see. With Washington in mind, the Cowboys certainly looking ahead at the postseason right now, and not really worrying about what's in front of them. If the chips fall, then whatever. But we'll see, and more than likely stay sharp in front of what I guess is going to be a matchup with the Buccaneers, right? Coming up in the postseason. 7-point favorites on the road at Washington. Lay it. Take the Cowboys on the road, Brent, Sunday.
Yeah, again, it's still a lot they're playing for here. And, Washington's starting the rookie out of North Carolina, Sam Howell, will be behind the center there. Cowboys, again, they can still get that 1 seed. If Philly loses, San Francisco loses, Cowboys win, Cowboys move up to that 1 seed. So they're still playing. That's a big seed to play for. I think they're going to go out and I think they're going to hammer this number. Hammer it hard. I'll lay the 7 easy.
What do you got, Tommy?
Yeah, rookie quarterback facing Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons might have a career day against that guy. As we pointed out, Dallas still playing for possibly the top seed. So they're going to come out, lay it all out there. I'll take Dallas -7.
To me, I think this is the easiest one. And you're going to go there. You spend a lot of money to go. Lambeau Field, 8:20 coming up on Sunday night. That is the game of the week with the Lions and the Packers. We know what's on the line for both teams, and certainly that for the Packers. And considering where they were a month ago, Packer fans like Brent Halverson, you have to feel really good. Seems like the defense has found somewhat of a groove right now as well. Put good pressure last week on Kirk Cousins. You guys both can allude to that. I really like the way that they're playing. Got a lot of confidence going right now. I think this is going to be easy roll. 4.5-point favorites at home Sunday night. Lay the 4.5 and take the favorite Packers. Brent.
Big game. Going to be 25 degrees at kickoff, John, so that's great football weather up there. I will tell you, though, and you're right, it is the defense has been clicking the last 4 weeks. Also, Keyshawn Nixon, has been just a huge godsend. He came back. He ran that kickoff 105 yards against Minnesota.
That's who that guy was. You showed me that. I'd never heard of him.
Oh, yeah. He's an absolute machine. He's been doing it for the last 4 weeks now. He wasn't even a kick returner 6 games ago. Oh, wow. But he's come in and just really makes teams think about it. Are you going to kick to him or not, right?
Yep.
So he's been a huge spark for us. The defense is big. Rodgers hasn't played all that great in the last 4 weeks. He's thrown 1 touchdown and averages about 195 yards a game. So that's not the Rodgers we're used to seeing. I think after you saw him playing a little air guitar, hopefully he's going to have that spunk and fire back. But if you remember my last 2 picks the last 2 weeks, John, I'm going against them. I'm going to keep that RP going.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to keep that RP going. Detroit Lions plus 4.5.
I don't think you need to. I think you're good.
Detroit Lions plus 4.5. Packers win the game, but Detroit covers.
Tommy.
Hopefully not.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Brent on this. I think the Green Bay wins by like a field goal. It'll be a close game, I think, because Detroit can score. Green Bay showed they can score. I'll take that 4.5 points, but I think Green Bay wins the game.
All right, guys, final game, final regular season game for the Colts at Lucas Oil Stadium coming up on Sunday at 1 o'clock. Now, the Texans probably should be a little bit careful because you mentioned this a little bit earlier. The Bears with Nathan Peterman, the Bears eyeballing getting that top spot. If you're the Texans, you probably don't want to go all out and try to win this game coming up on Sunday. And that seems like the type of formula that it would take for the Colts to get one final win this season. A team that really doesn't want to win that they're playing. So look for the Colts to be run heavy because they sure as hell can't pass it. Run heavy coming up on Sunday. And I know a lot of Colts fans are going to be bummed out about this, but here's what you're going to look at. You're going to lay that 2.5 if you're a Colts fan, and you're going to take the Colts at home. They will win that final 20-17 on Sunday. Colts over the Texans.
That's a lot. I think that's way too many points that's going to be scored. I think the first to 3 might win this game. I honestly do. I love the.
You're going to give me a 6-3 type of game.
I love the under 38 total in this game. I love the under 17.5 Houston team total. I just don't think they're going to do anything. Sam Ehlinger behind center for the Colts again. Maybe they're playing for Jeff Saturday. I don't know, but again,
I think they're going to be handed this. They're going to have to really try to give this away more than the Texans want to lose this. So.
Well, I think that's why you're going to see just a battle of you take the ball. No, you take the ball. I don't want the ball. I don't want to score. You score. That being said, again, not a real sexy game, but we're going to bet on it. Like I said, my number one play is going to be the under and the Houston team total under. But I will take the Colts laying the 2.5 at home to get a W. 3-0 in the final.
Tommy.
Well, last time these two teams played, Houston got out to a 20-3 lead, I think, or something at halftime. The Colts came back. Of course, that was our tie. Here's my question. Has any team ever tied twice in the same season?
Ooh, yes.
And the two same teams.
Oh, I don't think no, but yes. Yeah. Yes, that is the...
No, I don't know if the same teams.
That's a great question. Cam will have that answer
I can
here
suggest that's never happened before.
I would concur.
Yes, so anyway.
And regardless, I think Houston wants to hold on to that one spot. They want Bryce Young next year under center. So
yes,
I think the Colts come out and take care of business. Low-scoring game, probably 20-16 or something, but they cover.
Well, here's what happens. If the Bears jump up in front of them, then they're going to have to end up paying to get up where they would get if you just lose this game.
The Bears,
so,
they don't want a quarterback.
They don't want a quarterback.
That's why, and if they get number, they're going to hold it hostage for the highest bidder right here.
Gotcha,
so, yeah.
Gotcha, yeah.
Could do that. You're right.
Which, I mean, really, when you think about it, could end up being beneficial if you want to look at it that way from the Colts. I mean, if you're really thinking about going all out on that, could be, but
you could take a 5-pick and a second rounder and get some, there's all kinds of stuff could be done with that.
Who knows? We'll be talking about it. There's no doubt about that. Your Larceny Bourbon Locks, Luna Azul Tequila Shots, week number 18. Where'd this come from right here, Tommy? Yes, do we know?
My friend Tony Batesel, he just started his own little pastry shop.
Really?
So he brought us some donuts.
That's nice. Where's that located?
It's down in Fountain Square, I believe.
All right.
I'll have to reach out to him and ask.
All right. Well, Fountain Square. What is it called one more time? You can see this via YouTube Live. The donuts here. And the place it's going to be on it. Is it Batesels?
Let me get him on the line here.
Well, I tell you what, I got to run, but thank you, by the way. I just want to give him props for the donuts right here.
Outstanding.
But thank you very much. Our Larceny Bourbon Locks and Luna Azul Tequila Shots. We'll come back with Brent coming up a little bit later on. But on the other side, he's going to UCLA, a breakout season, over 1,500 yards rushing for the 2020 Mr. Football in the state of Indiana. Carson Steele from Center Grove. He is set to join us coming up next. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
When it's a new year, I like to think about jewelry in a new way. I'm a Shane Company jewelry consultant, and I love how one piece of jewelry can hold so much meaning. It can mark a moment, symbolize a new adventure, or simply remind you of a personal goal. At Shane Company, our jewelry is created with an artisan's eye and a master jeweler's touch. We design it ourselves and offer a free lifetime warranty. With styles in every price range, it'll be easy and fun to find something that's meaningful to you. Have you seen our peach morganite jewelry set in our signature shade of rose gold? It's gorgeous, a reflection of how you'll feel wearing it. The butterfly is a symbol of hope and transformation, and our butterfly necklace shines with vibrant sapphires and diamonds. Opals are believed to promote creativity, and Shane Company opals are chosen for their mesmerizing colors. Come in and try on anything that catches your eye. Find something beautiful that's an expression of you.
Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
Hey, everybody, we've all heard stories from friends and family about something really bad that happened. You're in an accident, there's a painful life-altering injury, huge medical bills, even wrongful death, all from someone else's fault. In fact, some of you may be dealing with that right now. Well, that's where the attorneys at Parr Ritchie Law Firm can help. It's Tony Patterson, Paul Cruz, and John McLaughlin lead a team with over 70 years of collective courtroom experience and millions of dollars in jury awards and settlements for their clients. Now, none of us can change the past. Just know that Tony, Paul, and John are on your side to help you and your family going forward. They're recognized by super lawyers and U.S. News and World Report as being among the leading injury lawyers in Indiana. So even if you're unsure you have a case, give Parr Ritchie a call. They'll listen and give you their free experience legal opinion. Call 317-269-2509 or visit parrinjury.com. That's P-A-R-R injury.com.
Dan Dockage for Affinity Whole Health. Affinity is the leader in testosterone and hormone replacement therapy, and I got to tell you, I see why. Since I started a testosterone replacement program with Affinity, my energy, mental focus, drive, everything is up, and the physical benefits are amazing. Check them out at feelgreatindy.com. Guys, you can improve the way you look, the way you feel. You can build muscle and lose fat. Affinity will give you the roadmap. Go to feelgreatindy.com. That's feelgreatindy.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Changing your oil. You know, an oil change is a great way to get more MPGs. Right now, you can enter for a daily chance to win a $200 AutoZone gift card when you buy 5 quarts of Mobil 1 Full Synthetic and an STP Extended Life oil filter for only $38.99. Get the parts you need when you need them at AutoZone or AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
No purchase required.
Hey, it's John here for Andy Moore Buick GMC. That's 131st. It's State Road 37. It is in Fishers, Indiana. My guy Eric Wilson's going to set you up. He really is. With a great deal in the new year for a great set of wheels. Ask about the GMC Acadia Elevation Package. You will love it. You and the entire family loaded up at a great price, and the service after the sale that is unmatched. It is one place and one-stop shopping at Indiana's best. Ask for Eric Wilson today. Andy Moore Buick GMC, 131st State Road 37 in Fishers.
Need new tires? Skip the long appointments and bad coffee. With Go Mobile Tires Indy, order tires online and have them installed at your home or office. GoMobileIndy.com. We come to you.
To hear that news,
Damar has shown remarkable improvement.
From the Bills, that's the information that we've all been waiting for.
While still critically ill, he has demonstrated that he appears to be neurologically intact.
If you're talking about it.
The Bills wrote that they are grateful for the love and support they've received.
We're talking about it.
To just see the expressions on Jordan Poyer's face and Josh Allen's face and TV's face, hoping for is the best case scenario with Damar.
Your home for Indy Sports, 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. JMV.
Hey, you gonna stare all day or you gonna buy something? I'm gonna stare all day.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
You got it, buddy. Thank you very much. Live at Coaches. We're downtown today. Large C Bourbon Locks, Luna Azul Tequila Shots. I just fired something off. I think, I don't know, Carson Steele's supposed to join us. I think the guys back at the station are having trouble hooking up with him right now. So you guys tell me when you get it, and we'll do it. If not, we'll move it back a little bit later on. But I wanted to get the insight because the 2020 Mr. Football made a change in scenery, had a great season at Ball State. That was his sophomore year, second year at Ball State, over 1,500 yards rushing. And he did a lot of that work, if you remember, on those standalone nights in Maction where a lot of eyeballs saw him. So he had that great season up in Muncie and made the decision to go ahead and put himself in the transfer portal. And I was kind of watching how this thing went down, and you never really think, I guess you probably should, but you never really think that, you know, a team like UCLA would be in the running. Everybody starts thinking about Big Ten school opportunities. I think maybe a couple of SECs were made as well. He should be good to go, by the way, right now, fellas, if you want to give him a call again. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Hold on a second. You know what? He's got something going on with the fam, so let's postpone this right here. He just sent me a text. He's got something going on with the family, so let's just wait. Maybe we'll try to work it in either tomorrow or when it is at a better convenience for him. So, yeah, don't try to get a hold of him right now because he's got something going on with the fam, something of personal interest for him, so we shall wait. But no, getting back to his story, I was kind of curious on how they ended up getting with UCLA and Chip Kelly. Kind of an interesting scenario for a kid that came out of high school with certainly all the Indiana accolades, winning titles, winning Mr. Football, and then you're going to get involved in what we know what star you are and all that. And he goes to Ball State, and in that second year really started to evolve as a heavy producer and ended up in that transfer portal and wanted to see what it was like out in the Pac-12, so he's going to be a part. And I'm assuming, as they're talking about out there, a substantial portion of that UCLA offense running the football, they're losing their guy to the NFL draft, and he's going to step in with a huge opportunity to end up getting something done. But the story is interesting, and when we can get him on, we will go more inside, more in-depth on that story, because he's a kid that I know a lot of people around here have known for a long time, certainly put up incredible numbers on the high school level. And as I've talked about before, I have such a great deal of respect for his head coach at Center Grove, Eric Moore, and that program and what they've done down at Center Grove. I know a little bit more of the background of all that, but it's just interesting to see a guy who was it when it came to high school and then goes to Ball State with a chip on his shoulder and wanted to build that back up again. And then, man, this past year, over 1,500 yards rushing, did just that and then some in impressive fashion. There is no doubt. Impressive fashion. So we'll do that whenever he can. We'll get Carson Steele on here whenever he can get on. I know he's doing something family-wise right now that took place a moment ago, so that's cool. We'll do it maybe tomorrow, maybe early next week. But it is a hell of a story, and certainly we will get to that. Coach's Tavern, we're downtown, Larceny Bourbon Locks and Luna Azul Tequila Shots. It is week number 18. We went over all our picks. Actually had a friend of mine come in and check out all my picks. It's weird because the picks this week, there was so much research. If there is a week in the NFL that you like to look hardcore on because you have so many different dynamics going on, whether or not the team is still in playoff contention, whether or not they can move up a seed, get a better setting as far as the postseason is concerned, or as Brent Halverson brought up, you got a lot of guys that are actually playing for bonuses right now. And those guys, top-of-the-line performers, get a little bit more cash if they perform at a higher level. You got that. You got a lot of backup quarterbacks going. You got teams, for example, that could hurt themselves, like Houston. You get Chicago, you get Houston, Nathan Peterman starting for the Bears. You know Houston's situation. And Houston, if you want to hold on to that number one, you logically would like to lose that game. So you get a lot going on. There's probably no more research done when it comes to any week of the NFL in making these picks than week 18 because of all that is going on, both good and bad, certainly with all these teams. Now, speaking of the good, earlier today, the latest announcement regarding Damar Hamlin has been such a good one. This story has been fantastic. The quote was substantial improvement to the point where he actually asked them the outcome of the game. Now, doctors are still suggesting to everybody that there is a long road to go. He is still critical. But compared to the news and what we witnessed on Monday night to now, has been absolutely fantastic. So that news of substantial improvement earlier today was fantastic to hear. And if anything else comes about, I know Sean McDermott met with the media, the Buffalo Bills head coach, for the first time this week earlier today. But the news has been just consistently positive, and today, certainly, as far as the week is concerned, has been the high point of that. And hopefully it continues to get better and better. Again, Coach's Tavern, we are downtown. You've got a couple of basketball games tonight of interest, collegiately speaking. You got Purdue and you got Ohio State at 7 o'clock. Purdue is a road dog in Columbus later on this evening. And I know that IU fans out there, you're excited about seeing them return because you hadn't seen them play a team in so long. But the issue is you haven't seen them play and you're fearing the worst because you haven't seen them play. And you wonder if that time off is going to play a significant role in how this team looks coming up later on tonight. And again, the 9 o'clock Thursday night window for any game in Iowa City against the Hawkeyes, regardless of the situation, is always incredibly difficult. So you go back-to-back tonight, 7 o'clock tonight for Purdue and Ohio State in Columbus, IU and Iowa from Iowa City and Carver Hawkeye Arena. 9 o'clock is the tip. That's downstairs on 93 WIBC with the gang getting going in the pregame show at 8 o'clock coming up later on tonight. All right, Eddie Gill a little bit earlier. We talked about that disappointing overtime loss by the Pacers last night in Philadelphia. Went in depth on that. We'll do that a little bit more as we move forward as well. You still look at it, and they came back from a 13-point deficit in the fourth, but essentially had an opportunity to salt that away. And 2 big-time turnovers led them to overtime, and then a 3-point road loss to the Philadelphia 76ers. Pacers get the Blazers coming up tomorrow night in a revenge fashion type of game. Blazers beat them last month by 16 in the middle of that 7-game Western road swing. Pacers get the Blazers tomorrow night at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. We talked to Eddie Gill about that and more. That podcast, 1075thefan.com. All right, we're going to work our way back into the latest of the Colts and what known players, renowned players of this team may be on a considerable bubble to be on somebody else's team next year. And is that one maybe we're not thinking about or talking about right now? That's and the future of this team with Mike Chappell. That's coming up at the top of the hour. Live at Coach's Downtown, Larceny Bourbon Locks, Luna Azul Tequila Shots. It's a Thursday with you, 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
How about this for the perfect holiday gift? Get moving again, pain-free. You can do that via QC Kinetics. They are the nation's leader in advanced regenerative medicine, taking unique protocols that use healing agents from your own body to target aching joints, repairing and restoring damaged tissue so you can move again with no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. Got shoulder pain, excruciating hip pain? You have any arthritis or lingering pain from an injury? Don't let them operate on you or give you more steroids. You call QC Kinetics with locations in Eagle Creek and Greenwood and get a free consultation today. This is the future of joint pain management, and appointments are available as soon as the next week. So make 2023 the year you say goodbye to joint pain. Call QC Kinetics. That's 317-559-PAIN in Eagle Creek and Greenwood. Give QC Kinetics a call today. 317-559-PAIN.
Hey, Sean here. Larceny Bourbon Locks, Luna Azul Tequila Shots every Thursday during the regular season. Our final one of the regular season today, I believe we'll probably maneuver into the postseason as well. Betting analyst Brent Halverson and me every single Thursday. Today, Coach's Tavern, downtown with Larceny Bourbon Locks, Luna Azul Tequila Shots, 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
A team that brings energy.
Matherin loads a three. He's got it going.
A crowd that brings electricity.
Nembhard to the goal with a layup.
That's what's going on at Gainbridge Fieldhouse all season long.
Turner blocked the shot. That's number 1,000.
We are revved up.
Catch your Pacers and Charlotte Hornets in a Sunday matinee at 5. Get your tickets at Pacers.com. That's Pacers.com. Pacers Hornets, Sunday afternoon at 5.
The Colts wrap up the season as they host the Houston Texans. Coverage Sunday morning at 9 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
Smokey, this is not Nam. This is bowling. There are rules.
93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Hey, welcome back, Coach's Tavern. We are downtown. Mike Chappell coming up at the top of the hour. Eddie Gill a little bit earlier. Hey, by the way, tomorrow's show, I hope to see you at Twin Peaks in Castleton. I do have Texans Colts tickets to give away as far as the final regular season Bud Light Blue Friday. Twin Peaks coming up tomorrow. Again, Castleton, Twin Peaks tomorrow for us, and that is a Bud Light Blue Friday. Cannot wait to see you there as we close this thing out strong. JMV at 1075thefan.com is the email address. JMV, I completely agree with you on that final play and the game tire by Tobias Harris. It kind of appeared like the Pacers stopped playing a little bit, everybody but Myles. I don't know what the reaction was. I will tell you this, and I'm the one that brought this up. I know that the Sixers had a head start on it. The Sixers were out and running. It seemed to me like the other four guys were left on the Pacers a little bit flat-footed. Myles tried to go track down, didn't get to the ball. The ball was put up on that initial layup short, And then Harris was running the floor. Got to it, and scored it. So, yeah, flat-footed maybe. That's kind of what it looked like down the stretch. But as I mentioned a little bit earlier, and people are going to take this the wrong way, people are going to say, well, this is going to be a very convenient way to give this team excuses. That's bullcrap, because this team is going to be excusable. Young, trying to get into this, certain situations may flood them a little bit, may overwhelm them a little bit. You don't want to go out the way that they went out. You don't want to be up 4, and really if you're Andrew Nembhard, have the opportunity to dribble it over the timeline and help salt it away, either get fouled, run some clock, or whatever. The one thing you could not do under those circumstances is exactly what he did, and that was handed off to Tyrese Maxey, who went on and basically scored to pull the Sixers within 2 at the end of regulation. And he did that within like 3.5 seconds. So that's the one thing you couldn't do right there. But for the most part, I think everybody's been really happy. Certainly I have, with the play of Andrew Nembhard. That's just one that you have to look at and make sure that doesn't happen. And that is a part of the whole growth aspect of this team. It is. I'll give you a great example of it. I wanted to see Embiid play last night because I wanted to see Embiid match up against Myles. No Embiid. Myles played well. As a team, they still played well. It's just that late game situation that you want to see them execute better. Because in large part, they handed that over down the stretch. Because you knew once they got into overtime that everything was going to be stacked against them. And I know a lot of people, including me last night, I tweeted about, the best in the world whiffing on a call. And there's no question they whiffed on the Benedict Mathurin non-call there. But I thought for the most part, what's up, BT? I thought for the most part they did a pretty good job. You look at a guy like James Harden, for example, he goes to the free throw line 10 times. He drives me nuts. His style of play drives me nuts because oftentimes he gets the benefit of going to the line from what I think are iffy foul calls. But I thought last night he goes to the free throw line 10 times. I thought last night that the officials did let some things go. I thought the officials did let the Pacers be a little bit more physical. And I'm not one to buy into at some point, thank you, Brent, you just kind of sit back and you relax and you wait for a guy like Benedict Mathurin, who's going to go to the rim, and you love it as a rookie because he consistently goes to the rim. But at some point, he is going to start getting, I think, what people call star calls. I don't want to have to wait on that. I was trying to think, who in the past, as a Pacer, do you remember getting star-like calls? You think Paul George got star calls here? I don't remember that. Like Cam, the engineer, said Paul George got star calls here. Am I remembering it wrong? Or I'm not a fan of Paul George. Is that why? Cam, give me the reason where you thought he got star calls. I never really thought he did.
I think just like when he would, it'd normally be when he's going isolation type style play, but he would normally do like a sweep through, almost like Chris Paul would at times, and they would get it that way.
I guess I don't remember him being, when I think of guys getting star calls, also, I think of high-volume free throw shooters.
Yes,
with that.
I
don't remember him being a high-volume free throw shooter. And Reggie Miller was a jump shooter, so I don't remember him being a high-volume free throw shooter. Mathurin may be different from the standpoint that he relentlessly goes to the rim, and they have not had somebody like that.
They brought that up on the show last night on Bally Sports, that Chris Neri kept saying that he's forcing them to make a call.
They are.
That's what he's doing.
But last night, these guys oftentimes did swallow the whistle. But what I'm bringing up with Mathurin, I can't remember a dude in the history of the Pacers that went that relentlessly to the rim as he does. And I can't remember a dude within the Pacers in the past that got the star treatment. And I guess it's either high-volume free throws in a big game that Cam's alluding to with Paul George, or maybe it comes down to being able to close CBT a big game if you're Paul George. I don't remember a lot of that here. I could be wrong, Maybe it's because I don't have a great deal of positive recollection of Paul George here any longer. I just can't. I don't remember him being that type of, hey, this is Paul George, he's going to get a call. Now, there's no doubt James Harden and what he does, I mean, he's a kind of fade back jump shooter that makes sure that at some point he either tries or does draw any contact and get you near that landing area. He did that last night with Matherin. Actually, he may have done that last night a couple of different times where you come down or you get close to his landing area or his landing space, and they end up calling that foul. Guys like that get that because they've been around the NBA for a while. I just have no recollection of any of the Pacers ever really getting that. Even if we're talking about Reggie Miller in the past, because Reggie Miller was a jump shooter. Reggie Miller's forte back then was not going to the rim. So that Paul George, Danny Granger really didn't really think that he was that type of guy. If you want to go back to, the era of, Jermaine O'Neal or, even the Isaiah Thomas coach teams, I just don't remember a guy like this that did high volume at the free throw line that would get those type of calls. Maybe Matherin is going to be the change in that. The one piece of advice I would get, and I think a lot of people would agree with me on this regarding Matherin, is as a rookie, I probably would not say a lot. Because as a rookie, that's probably what hurts you more than anything else in trying to get the call if you are tagged or identified with somebody that is going to squawk and talk after every perceived non-call. I'd probably try to keep that. You can't tell his teammates, his veteran teammates, more veteran teammates in this case, are trying to keep him on that right track, coaching him up a little bit on the floor. But if I were handing out advice, that's my advice to him. You go and you go hard, and that is great. But on the other side, I don't know how much I would say. Because you would think if he continues to do that, and I don't know why he would start getting those particular calls. Last night, a couple of different times, he shot 10 free throws, but last night a couple of different times, he was not the recipient of that call. That was it. Tony writes this, he didn't get calls, but he complained about everything, which he learned from David West. That's good. David West complained about everything back in the day as well.
Oh, I was going to say, it kind of, I think the play style is different too. There's no doubt. And James Harden, because they were more team basketball even when Paul was here.
Yeah, well, and James Harden, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, he has his way of doing it. And he makes sure that he gets some sort of contact, and his probably more so than anybody else, any individual player in the NBA, the calls that he gets drive me nuts because they are the softest of the soft. I will say this, the calls that Matherin didn't get a couple of different times last night, there was nothing soft in nature about that. The Harden calls normally are incredibly soft, again, by a standard set, NBA standard, soft calls. And that's probably what drives me nuts more so than anybody else. This is from Clifford, JMV and OT. It seemed like every possession was just Matherin doing a little bit of ISO ball. That can't be good for the team as a whole, right? I think they honestly wanted him to do that, but it did seem like that, and that did make you wonder regarding the consistency, Clifford. But you also admit what he did, the work he did in the fourth quarter, and especially getting to the free throw line, I think was the reason, Clifford, why he was in ISO situations and going hard at the rim. But, yeah, in OT, there's no doubt about that. Now, we'll see how that team responds. And, again, that is a part of the growth of this team. That's why I don't want to get too high when they win and too low when they blow games like they did last night. The most interesting aspect of this team is what you're going to see coming up tomorrow night, and is that how they respond. Because there is no doubt that would be among or at the top of the list the more disappointing losses of the season for this Pacer team. Because they had it, and they had it absolutely right there. Disappointing it was. Hey, we're live downtown Coach's Tavern. Hey, the latest on the Colts coming up. We enter the final week of the regular season, and there is a great deal to talk about in terms of the direction this Colts team is going to go. Jim Irsay, going back a couple of weeks, said on ESPN that Chris Ballard is going to be back. I said earlier this week, I'm a little bit more skeptical about that than others are. Bob Kravitz disagreed with me earlier this week. I don't think a lot of people have. We'll see. And we'll see what Mike Chappell has to think about that coming up in the 5 o'clock hour as well. And some of those names that have been synonymous with you and this Colts team. And I'm talking about names being producers in the past, and guys that may not be there on this roster coming up when they start the 2023 season. Got to get to that, how they're going to play this coming up on Sunday. Clearly, the Texans want to lose the most, but how the Colts plan on playing that? What a lot of run. I think I said 2017 Colts. Most of the agreement here on the stage at coaches was the fact that that's probably too many points. I'm giving them to score 2017 coming up on Sunday. We'll talk about that with Mike Chappell. That is coming up on the other side. Coaches downtown, Larceny Bourbon Locks, Luna Azul Tequila Shots. Brent Halverson joins us. Our betting analyst coming up in a bit as well. And we're also going to find out, because we are now into January, we've got some tavern tour stops. Another tavern tour we're on with our friends from Heaven Hill Distillery again in 2023. Obviously, it starts in January of 2023. We'll talk about that with Brent also coming up here in the 5 o'clock hour. Eddie Gill of the Pacers, both TV and radio, a little bit earlier. Podcast 1075thefan.com. And deep dive in on that Colts team with Mike Chappell. That's coming up on the other side. 93.5 and 1075 The Fan. Sit tight.
It's Kevin and Query.
New year, same embarrassing Colts. The mentality has shifted for people. Even though there's a game left, I feel like people have completely turned the page.
Without question. People just want to know where they're at in the draft order. Shouldn't this football team be playing somewhat competent or a little bit better football under Jeff Saturday if you do want him as your permanent head coach? They were not good with Frank Reich. They're absolutely horrific with Jeff Saturday.
Kevin and Query.
Weekday mornings at 7
on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Hey there, it's Jake Query for AAA, and I don't know about you, but wintertime always gets my mind wondering in terms of vacations. Recently, I went to Barcelona and Florence, Italy. Both were absolutely fantastic. I would love to get somewhere warm to escape and see sunshine for the first time in seemingly forever. And no matter where you're thinking about heading, my friends at AAA can help you get the best price on your next vacation at the AAA Vacation Expo. It's Saturday, January 21st at the JW Marriott downtown. Exclusive vacation deals, expert presentations, complimentary travel planning, and more. And the best part, it's all free. You don't even have to be a AAA member to attend. So whether you're looking to travel this year, next year, or beyond, save the date for a AAA Vacation Expo. That's Saturday, January 21st at the JW Marriott downtown. Find more information and pre-register for your chance to win a $500 AAA travel voucher at AAA.com/expo. That's AAA.com/expo.
Bowling, 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 keep them balls a-rolling. Bowling, bowling, bowling. Royal Pin.
The holiday season may be coming to an end, but the fun is just beginning. Make your plans now for a party at any Royal Pin Entertainment Center. Treat your employees to a great time with bowling. Appetizers from chips to heavy hors d'oeuvres, food packages from pizza to prime rib, and a wide range of party options from just bowling to laser tag, limitless VR, go-karts, arcade, and more. You can upgrade with adult beverages, craft beer, premium spirits, and frozen drinks. Want a custom party? Their sales team can make it happen. Reward your team for their hard work. Email events at royalpin.com or visit royalpin.com to book today. That's events at royalpin.com.
Royal Pin, bowling, bowling. Royal Pin, bowling.
Hey, John here for LD Smith Plumbing. That's Lance and his local team. You got the number. Seriously, if you haven't written this down yet, do it. Just keep it handy. These plumbing issues happen when you least expect it, and I just want you to be prepared. 317-927-7186 for any plumbing emergency, especially when we dive back in to the cold winter temperatures, which are clearly either here or certainly even more so on the way. 317-927-7186. That is the best in plumbing. Lance and his local team at LD Smith Plumbing. Online, ldsmithplumbing.com today.
My husband and I live next door to a haunted graveyard. It's a little creepy, but we manage. Just like we manage without home internet. Do I wish my mobile hotspot was faster? Yes, but I make it work. Kinda. Just like we make it work sleeping next to a 17th century burial ground.
Honey, can you move your hand?
That's not my hand.
It's mine.
Not having home internet? It's not that bad. Grab my hand.
Wait, okay.
No, not up the stairs. We tried that last time. Run around. You can literally run through him.
Don't settle. Switch to Xfinity and get one line of unlimited mobile and home internet together for $50 a month for 12 months. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit your local Xfinity store today. Restrictions apply. Requires new Connect internet service with 1-year contract. Auto pay and paperless billing with stored bank account. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. Reduced speeds after 20 gigabytes of data usage. Offer ends 3/21/23.
You had a solid retirement dream. Sell your home in a few years, bank the equity, downsize, and travel. But inflation and recession has you wondering if all your hard-earned equity will still be there. What if you could recession-proof your equity right now? You can with TrueHold. TrueHold will buy your home for its best current value before a recession can erode it. You get to bank all the cash now and live in your home for as long as you want. And TrueHold covers all property taxes, insurance, repairs, and maintenance. And since TrueHold pays your home's current value in cash now, it's yours to do whatever you'd like. Don't wait for inflation, recession, and interest rates to erode your home's value. Visit TrueHold.com and discover how much TrueHold will buy your home for today. Based on its best current value, not what's coming. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit TrueHold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without having to move. That's TrueHold.com.
Be ready for snow at the Mower Shop in Fishers with a gas or electric Toro snowblower and prepare for mowing season with discounts on select Spartan mowers. 317-849-9500 and themowershop.com.
93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
WIBC HD2 W298BB, WIBC HD3 W228CX, Indianapolis. The Pacers welcome the Portland Trail Blazers to the Fieldhouse tomorrow evening at 6:30 on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
I fart in your general direction. Your mother was a hamster, and your father smelled of elderberry.
93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
Coach's Tavern with a big group today. Thank you all for coming out on our Larceny Bourbon Locks and Luna Azul Tequila Shots Thursday. Even BT got out here. Good to see you guys, too. Sean McDermott, the head coach of the Bills, meeting with the media right now, and there is just a great deal of positivity. In fact, he was asked about, whether or not that he felt that they should play that game, that finale coming up at home in Buffalo against New England on Sunday. And McDermott answered with, he feels strongly, as Damar's dad, Mario, expressed to the team yesterday, that playing Sunday's game versus the Patriots is what Damar Hamlin would have wanted. So, substantial improvement is how they're describing this right now, too. And just some great stuff. Some great stuff, considering where we were earlier this week, considering what we watched on Monday. The news regarding Damar Hamlin has been very good leading up to this point. And today is certainly the high point of that information that we have heard so far. But right now, Sean McDermott and Josh Allen, the quarterback, meeting with the media for the first time. And obviously the Q&A is going down regarding their teammate and the fact that they are moving forward and playing that game against New England in the regular season finale coming up on Sunday. Meantime, Colts regular season finale at home against the Texans on Sunday. To talk about that, from a guy from CBS 4 and Fox 59 that's been covering them since they got here, Mike Chappell's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I'm assuming that the Texans probably want to lose more than the Colts want to lose on Sunday. Is that fair to say? Colts fans would like to see the Colts lose more. I don't necessarily believe that the Colts and Jeff Saturday do, but the Texans probably want to lose more than they do, right?
It's one of those strange games where it behooves both teams to lose. It just does. But if I'm a player, if I'm a coach, I'll talk from the Colts side. I mean, they want to go out on as good a note as they can. And, again, these guys are invested in now. And this season has not ended at all the way they had hoped. But the idea of going out and losing your last game, compounding it to being against Houston, it would be a very tough way to go into the offseason. It would. And I know people and fans are saying, well, what have you done? And all this is, you got to help your draft positioning. That's BS. It's true, but it's BS. These guys want to at least feel good about themselves for the one day and a couple days after the game. But trust me, it helps both teams to lose. And we can make jokes about how, how you don't need to score, you don't need this, that, and the other. But these guys want to win, and it's not even remotely in their mind to not try to win. It's just not.
So, Mike Chappell of CBS 4 and Fox 59. How realistic is it for us to converse about any Jim Harbaugh possibility?
Good question. I mean, it's an issue until it's not. Until he comes out and says, I'm staying at Michigan, or I've been offered $1 zillion by the Walmart guy in Denver, and I'm going to Denver. Until someone shoots it down, Harbaugh or Jim Irsay or somebody, it's just an issue because, they've sniffed around him before. I'm not saying now, but before. And, he's got the tie to the team. This isn't like Jeff Saturday coming back. Yes, he's a Ring of Honor guy, and we can debate that all you want. This is not a lifetime Colt. This isn't Jeff Saturday. It's not Reggie Wayne. It's not, name the 20 players. He was here for 4 years? 4 years and a year and a half that was really, really great. So I question the deep ties and all that between he and the Colts, but it's an issue until it's not, and right now it's still an issue.
Here's a quote from a statement earlier today. While no one knows what the future holds, leaving him a convenient out, by the way. Harbaugh, in a statement released today, quote, I expect that I will be enthusiastically coaching Michigan in 2023. I'm aware of the rumors and speculation over the past few days. College and NFL teams have great interest in all our personnel, from players and coaches to staff, and I truly believe that is a testament to the strength of our University of Michigan football program. But let's double back here. While no one knows what the future holds, I mean, you could absolutely know what your future holds right now.
Sure.
But you just tend not to want to answer it right now because you want to field some offers to either help yourself maybe gain more financially. Or my question is, I mean, obviously you covered him when he was here as a quarterback in the past, and he does have a deeply rooted history here. Does he like all this conversation about him, all these rumors about him? Does he soak that up a little bit, or is it more for the financial gain part?
Oh, both. I mean, how could you not like, people always talking about you and always, teams, the speculation that he'll go here, you'll get $20 million there. How do you not like that? As we've talked, he can end all the speculation. Not that who knows what the future holds, but I'm staying at Michigan. Period. That's all you got to say.
That's it.
And what he said here left the door open, and it's probably what he should do. I go back to several years ago when the Colts were seriously going after Nick Saban. What he at Michigan State, and I think the Colts thought they had him signed, and he ended up using it to get a bigger deal at Michigan State. So, it's leverage, and he would have had better leverage if they had won, yes, but he's got major leverage right now. All you need is, if you get two teams sniffing after you, my goodness, it's great. So I understand him. The fact that he hasn't closed the door tells me that if the offer and the situation is right, he'll take it. I mean, how else do you read it?
All right, I got a couple of things to ask you. Mike Chappell's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline in terms of Jim Harbaugh. I can't remember if I said this to you before. You may have heard me say it here on the air. I think as coaches go, he would be the perfect fit here because at the beginning of everything, if Jim Irsay were to hire Jim Harbaugh, I think that would be a much easier, less resistive path to step away and leave all the football trust into the football coach. Do you buy my train of thought with that in mind?
You mean impacting the GM?
No, I'm not even mentioning the GM. That's before we get to the GM. Because he has him as head coach, Jim is more in tune of not being meddlesome. Because he trusts and knows. It's much like Saturday, but let's just say a more successful in the NFL as a coach, Jeff Saturday, appeal to Jim Irsay, where he says, all right, I'm going to do my thing, right? I'm going to do my music. I'll be a voice as far as NFL owners are concerned, but I will step away from trying to meddle in the fashion in which I have this year. That's why I think Harbaugh would be perfect. What do you think?
Probably, but in all honesty, that's what Jim needs to do. Jim Irsay needs to do, regardless of who the coach is. Listen, as an owner, he can do whatever the heck he pleases to do. It's his team, it's his company. He can do what he wants to do. But we've seen where owners who have their hands on things too much, it's not good. It was really bad when his dad was the owner, because he was talking to, gosh, who was it? Was it Dave First at Channel 6 or Sorensen? Probably Sorensen. I don't know. Where the question was, how much football do you know? And he said, just enough to be dangerous. Well, that is dangerous. So, but I think Jim's smart enough to know, I think that if the less he does, the better. And he's felt really strong over the last 12 months about the things he's done. And recently, to me, it's not worked. So whether it's Jim Harbaugh, whether it's Jeff Saturday, whether it's Ron Rivera, whether it's Leslie Frazier, anybody, put a name in there, there has to be a reset with the owner to where he will only, always have input, but only, cast that one vote that matters when it really, really matters. And which I'm fine with that. I really am. But I think when there's too much, not input, but too much decision, this is the way we're doing it. When there's too much of that, then it's not good. I mean, back in the day, Jimmy told me that when you get to be an owner, the important thing is to enjoy being an owner and put the right people in place and let them do their jobs. And that's what delegation's all about. And I think he got away from that a little bit. Not a little bit, I mean a lot. Yeah. And I think it'll just behoove him and the franchise to continue having input and continuing to give the vast, knowledge that he's got. But if you got the right people in place, let them do their jobs. And if they fail to do their jobs, you fire them. I don't want to say with cause, you can do it whenever. But I think it's important to get back to where the right people make the right decisions 98% of the times. And again, we've strayed from that over the last 12 months.
Hi, Chappell of CBS 4 and Fox 59's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I said I was in Columbus on Monday and said for the first time since Jim Irsay came out, and again, that was taped prior to the Minnesota game, it was aired on ESPN, that Chris Ballard, I'm paraphrasing here, would most certainly be back. for the first time, I kind of felt earlier this week that maybe that's not so much going to be true. And I know we were both kind of solidified in that notion that Chris was going to be back, but have you lost any confidence with that in mind? Do you think now that there may be something on Monday we find out where Jim Irsay decides after 6 years you go in a different general manager situation?
It could happen. I mean, even though he came out on ESPN and said what he said, that Chris will be back and all this, things change. I don't know how what has happened recently will impact Chris's fate because, you know, if anything, it probably hurts maybe Jeff Saturday. But, you know, they've got injuries and all they're playing, you know, the defense is almost half our backups because of injuries. And what you've seen from the roster and how it's played, it's kind of like been that, you know, you've seen that, and now you're seeing the backups aren't quite good enough. Well, they're backups for a reason. So I don't know who it looks worse on, getting your head handed to you the last few weeks. And, boy, I tell you, if Houston comes in here and lays one on them, I don't know. I don't know. But, yeah, again, I think if the owner was okay with the GM, with how things were going, I don't know how a couple of bad losses would impact that, because that's the same was going on when you got thumped by Tennessee twice and New England and all that. So I don't know. All you can do is say, this is what you said, but he can come out Monday and say, you know, I changed my mind. And if he does, he does. And as we said, you can argue really, really strong that he needs to change his mind. But I guess until he changes his mind and tell us is that this is where we are. So I will expect him to be back until I hear otherwise.
Yeah, Mike Chappell joins us. Our friend Bob Kravitz was on with me earlier this week, and I presented him that similar scenario, and he said, well, you know, financially speaking would be the reason why they're not going to do it. And I stopped and I said, hey, with what everybody's been told and what has been said about Jim Irsay and going all the way, and money's no object to make sure that you construct and put together a winner, a future winner here. I know that it's easy for me to say because it's not my money when you're paying, you know, two GMs and two head coaches and only two of the four to actually be doing the job. I know it's easy for me to say, but that can't be the reason. That can't, for Jim Irsay, be the reason why. If you feel you need to go a different direction, you gotta. It cannot be at the top of the list financial.
But at some level, does it impact it? I mean, you know, I saw the report from someone out in Denver that and you never know what to believe, but the Denver's ready to offer Harbaugh $20 million a year. Well, can the Colts say, well, we can do that? I mean, I know we're the idea that, like with the quarterback, you do whatever it takes to get the quarterback you want in the draft. And that's one thing. That's draft capital and all that stuff. Can you say do whatever it takes to get the coach you want if it's going to cost $15-20 million a year?
Well, and I understand what you're saying here, but then you can't say I'll do whatever it takes when you don't. I get it. I get what you're saying, but then you can't say that.
No question. But and that's got to be in the discussion of it. At what point does money matter? Because we're talking, you know, cash. We're talking money up front, and we're talking the commitment and all that. And yes, I think Jim Irsay willing to pay just about whatever it takes, player-wise and all that, and coaching-wise. But, boy, there's got to be a grunt level to where, okay, I can't go over that, but maybe not. Maybe not. But if you're going to get a high-end coach who has been there and done that, again, whether it's Harbaugh or Sean Payton's not going to come here. Let's not go there. But the Leslie Frazier's got a track record, and he won't come really, really cheap. And if you're bringing a college coach, maybe you'll get another college coach. You get him for, the bottom third quartile, we'll use the owner's word, price-wise, but it at some level, doesn't money have to figure into it? And but that doesn't mean that you go blue light special with your head coach. Because if you don't, we were talking in the press room today, which we do a lot because you can't talk a lot about the team. But you just, you've got to get the right guy. And Reggie Wayne talked about that today. You've got to get the right guy. You've got to get the right guy, whether that's Jeff Saturday, who gets to start, fresh with his own staff, all that stuff, or somebody else. You've got to get the right guy. And I would almost argue it's more important to get the right quarterback. Because if you don't get the right quarterback, then I don't care who's coaching team. They're probably each the same, but you've got to get them both right. And the coach is first, just because that's how the dominoes fall. So you've got to get that right. And if Chris Ballard is indeed back, which until we hear otherwise, he's got to be strongly involved in who that coach is, because he and the guy have to work hand in hand.
And it doesn't seem like he's felt that way. Doesn't seem like he's. When you think about it too, in the two coaching hirings, you go back to Frank when it was supposed to be McDaniels, and then obviously Jim Irsay was upset that they got a black guy out of that, and then 11th hour departure by McDaniels, where he kind of took it over and then went with the advice of his standbys, and then ended up with Frank Reich. And at the time, Chris had mentioned he felt more comfortable at that time mentioning that Reich was like 7th or 8th on his list, or certainly outside of the top 5. And now you're thinking about, this whole head coaching change with Jeff Saturday on the interim basis. It was clear that Chris wasn't on board with that particular decision. There's not any way whatsoever that Chris sitting over there right now would like to find a different destination because he's over it, right? I mean, we shouldn't be thinking about that more than the fact that, well, maybe there's going to be a change just by virtue of making a change from the owner.
Well, I don't, Chris isn't going to resign. I mean, gosh, why would you? I mean, why would you walk away from your contract? And I don't know. I can't speak on whether his relationship with Jimmy how it's differed. I know they've always been very, very close, and the mutual respect and trust and all that. I don't know how it's changed. Again, it was obvious that Chris wasn't in agreement with what went on with Frank and benching Ryan and all that. I am very curious. We talked about it again in the media room that if Frank had not been fired, and if Ryan misses his 2 games and comes back, this team very likely is relevant and might have been pushing for the division, because the division is that bad. I just don't know that it would have bottomed out like this. Now, maybe I'm way wrong, and this team was so broken it wouldn't have mattered. But and again, I understand every argument that after 26-3 at New England, you had to do it. I understand that. But this team under Frank has almost always, except for last year, at the end, found a way to get itself together and finish strong. But maybe this year was just so broken that it didn't matter. But we're gonna. I hope we find out in the next 2 or 3 weeks where this team's going, just for all of our sakes, and we'll find out. We can find out very quickly we could find out very quickly first about the GM, which again I'm believing he's back. But then how long would the coaching search change? If it's going to be Jeff Saturday, it shouldn't be all that long. You'll interview 2 or 3 or 4 people and settle on Jeff Saturday. And if it's somebody else, it'll take probably quite a bit longer.
So Mike Chappell with us. Seems like there has been, certainly after that Vegas game, not so much in the Philly. There have been some games, and certainly we have seen it first half of Minnesota. But more times than not with some of these embarrassing finishes and how games have concluded, that it seems like some of these dudes may not have received the inspiration from Jeff Saturday. Have you noticed that? And was that in particular noticeable at MetLife Stadium this past Sunday?
Boy, I tried. I don't know that I've ever just said, boy, these guys quit. I can't go there because they only play 17 games. This is their profession, and if they're not trying to impress Jeff Saturday and Chris Ballard, they're trying to impress the other 31 teams. So I don't think so. But boy, what was it, 38-10? Since I do believe, and a lot of guys in the press room have mentioned this before me, but don't you get the feeling that the Vikings just ripped their heart out, just took something from them? It's been since they were up 33-0, they've been outscored 97-16. That's just terrible. I mean, it's beyond terrible. So, but to say they quit, Okereke didn't quit when he had 17 tackles or Zaire Franklin. I just think this offense is so broken that at some point it's just hard to keep going. And boy, I'm leading myself right into that they're not giving 100%. But I really don't want to go there because I know what these guys go through. I think maybe there's a level of human nature that kicks in. I don't know. But all I know is that if the tape shows that you quit in week 18 or week 17, everybody sees it. And the message that sends is, well, if you quit on them, you're going to quit on me at some point. And no player wants the label to be, he quit there and then he quit there. Once you get that label, it's really hard to get a serious look from other teams.
I'll be honest with you, Mike. You know this as well as I do, that if I'm a Colts player, I probably wouldn't want anybody watching a lot of the tape we have seen.
I don't disagree. I just can't use the quit word. I can't do it. I won't do it. But boy, when it's 38-10 and they just been giving up big plays on the offense, can't do squat, and I understand when other people go there, but I just can't go there.
Yeah, I mean, you go back to obviously Vegas. We saw some motivation there back on the 20th against Philly. I don't know. Pittsburgh was
the 33 points in the fourth quarter at Dallas. I mean, the offense turned the ball over, but boy, Dallas just scored so easy. I mean, goodness gracious, one play, two plays.
It's been everybody. What you're trying to say, it's been everybody. Everybody kind of wants to say, well, the defense hadn't been a part of it, but maybe not all the time, but they have been a significant part of it. In that fourth quarter they were, and they were in the second half against Minnesota. But it also is that the fact that this offense is zero threat out there.
Yeah, I mean, you want to defend the defense because they played so well at times, and again, you got these last few games, and don't forget they gave up game-winning fourth-quarter scores against Philly and Pittsburgh. So, everybody has got a hand in this. Special teams was playing pretty well, and then, then Matt Hawk has a couple of awful kicks, and then Chase McLaughlin misses. Yeah, it was a 48-yarder, but doggone it, you need to hit him, and it's getting to be where it's everybody. It's understandable. Maybe I'm really curious about how they play Sunday, and you always talk about that's pride and this, that, and the other. We'll see. I mean, it's the eye test. It's the eye test, and we'll see probably early on how this thing goes. And what's sort of been interesting is how Houston's played some really good games. Now they got smoked by Jacksonville, but they've played some pretty good games over the last month or so, 6 weeks. And you can't say that about the Colts, by and large. So it's really kind of crazy how this is going down, and whether it's Jeff Saturday or any other player, this is this goes on your resume. This will be part of when you go for a job elsewhere. If Jeff sits down with Jim Irsay or whatever, you got to explain. You got to explain 1 and 8. Whether you're the coach, interim coach, or a player, is the guy says, tell me about that. What happened and sort of what part did you play in it? So it's just never good when it's like this. Yeah. So but again, the next 3 weeks are going to be very interesting. It's funny, and we've talked about this, about how, boy, this offseason is going to be such a critical offseason. And this one really is, because the last 2 or 3 haven't panned out. But where this franchise goes for the next, 6, 8, 10 years, what happens in the next month or the next 3 or 4 weeks with the coach, and then the draft is really going to determine what this franchise looks like going forward.
Final thing with Mike Chappell, when Jeff Saturday a couple of different times when asked about the way it has gone since that Raiders debut, he said, you don't fire a coach midseason. I know what I'm getting into. I knew what to expect. He's bullcrapping the Swipe. I mean, you didn't expect this. Do you expect a lot of this? Or is that to cushion the blow on the results when he's been the interim head coach? Because there's no way in the world we expected them to lose, but in the fashion in which in a handful of these games they have, that's, I think, beyond expectation, reasonable expectation at the very least.
Yeah, I think the expectation was I'm taking over a bad team, because you don't fire a coach unless it's a bad team in a bad situation. But I don't, like you said, I don't think anybody saw this level. I mean, how many times have we thought, 2 or 3 times, and I've written about is, well, they've reached rock bottom. Dallas. Well, then lo and behold, that wasn't rock bottom. Minnesota was. You're setting league and franchise records for futility. And in the Giants, what they hadn't scored, it was the most points they scored. It was the biggest margin of victory in the series, which is, it's not a super long series, but still. And they scored their touchdown after 30 possessions without a touchdown. It's things like that you knew they were going to have trouble winning, and they had a couple of chances, but you never anticipated, at least I didn't, getting historic numbers at Dallas and the all-time collapse against the Vikings, where they only had to make like 2 or 3 plays in the second half, and in the Giants game, but then you go back to the Patriots game, where Sam Ellinger was put in a awful situation going against Belichick. So he knew it was a bad situation. I don't know if anybody knew it was this bad of a situation. I really don't.
So Mike Chappell of CBS 4 and Fox 59. We'll see what happens. I tell you.
I know.
It has been awful.
Something else.
This has been, you think about, the transition they made in the suck for luck. You think about 0-1, with Napoleon Moore, with the Edgerrin injury, of years of disappointment. That's one thing, but this has been a year of disappointment accompanied by high-level embarrassment by the way that you've played and the way things have gone organizationally. This, to me, you've been here since '84, and you saw a lot of losing. We became accustomed to that early on. Is this the worst season that you've seen here from top to bottom, on the field, organizationally speaking?
Well, they were 1-15 in '91.
But I understand. But we were used to that then. They were, the expectations weren't crap then. Expectations were, especially from what you're told here. So I would also factor that in as why this could be the worst.
Well, what makes this all the more bad, as you mentioned, is the high expectations, not only locally, but nationally. I mean, this team, again, they were considered the slight favorite to win the AFC South. The only thing that come close probably is after reaching the AFC Championship game in 14 to come back and remember all the big moves they made in the offseason with the Andre Johnsons and the Trent Cole and people like that, and you had your quarterback. You had your quarterback, and then it just went to hell. So maybe, but this is worse. This is just worse because of, again, you're trying. We were talking. You can almost do a David Letterman's list of a top 10 list of bad things that have gone on.
Yes,
and you'd leave some things on the floor because there are that many.
They are.
This is worse for so many reasons. And firing your coach, for the first time under Jim Irsay in the season and all that. Yeah, this has got to be the worst because of everything you mentioned.
Mike, I appreciate you. We'll see you in the press box for a final time on Sunday. Thank you.
One more time.
Yeah. By Chappell, CBS 4 and Fox 59, way over. We'll reset. Brent Halverson, betting analyst, Coach's Tavern downtown. He and BT Dew are having a huge conversation right now, which is always good. Inside the Lounge via YouTube Live, location tomorrow, Bud Light Blue Friday, and more. Next. There's only one company that meets the gold standard in hair restoration and hair transplants. We Grow Hair Indy. Hey, it's JMV, and I'm here with Darren Andrews. Darren, people are coming from all over the world to We Grow Hair Indy to grow their hair back.
Hi, JMV. It's great to be here. Yes, they are. And JMV, as you know, we are very proud of the technology and the results at We Grow Hair Indy. We Grow Hair Indy is one of only 2 places in the entire US that offers both the Artist Robotic FUE and our trademark procedure, multi-unit hair grafting.
I was tired of my bald spot, which is why I went with multi-unit hair grafting and got more hair in one procedure. Call 888-724-5129 for a free evaluation. That's 888-724-5129, 888-724-5129, and grow your hair back. The one company that has the best technology and results. WeGrowHairIndy.com, the gold standard in hair restoration. JMV here for Get 'em Associates. 2023 is going to be that year for that custom remodel. So you stayed in your home during the housing boom or bought that home knowing you wanted to make that one change. Jason Get 'em and his team will provide a consultation about your custom remodel, interior and exterior, kitchens and baths, screen porches, and more. That's Get 'em Associates. 35 years of experience serving Central Indiana. Check their Google reviews and find them online. That's getem.com, GETTUM.com. Tell them JMV sent you.
I stopped smoking with Mark Patrick's hypnosis when nothing else worked. 1 year later, my wife Michelle and I attended the Mark Patrick Weight Loss Hypnosis Seminar. In 2 months, lost 43 pounds, and she lost 18 pounds.
And we feel great. Seminars January 19th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Noblesville. Weight loss 5:30, stop smoking 8 p.m. Or January 21st at the Holiday Inn Indianapolis Airport. Weight loss 11 a.m., stop smoking 2 p.m. Register at markpatrickseminars.com.
Pick up USA Fitness Noblesville for your New Year's resolutions in 23. Basketball and state-of-the-art workout equipment near 146 and 37. Find them on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
Now another Bills player is down. And they are intensely working on Damar Hamlin.
Nobody's concerned about football right now all the way around. America right now is concerned about one thing, the health and safety of this young man.
What happens next?
Tonight, Damar Hamlin's dream became a nightmare for not only himself, but his family and his entire team.
Happens here. 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. The Ride with JMV.
Don't read your email, because I'm really butthurt when you read your email.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, welcome back. Coaches Downtown. Thank you so much for joining us. Mike Chappell, Podcast 1075thefan.com. Larceny Bourbon Lodge, Salute Israel Tequila Shots back in the 4 o'clock hour. Me, betting analyst Brent Halverson and Tommy Sutton. A great crowd down at Coaches tonight, too. Shout out to you guys for coming. Billy, BT, Ross, Alicia, they're getting married. You're going to go on a honeymoon. I'm going to stay here in the wintertime, and Indy having a blast. Thank you all for joining us today, too. Cam's the on-site engineer. Back in the studio is James. I believe Eddie Garrison is a part of it as well. And Brent Halverson rejoins us right now. Shane Palmer had tweeted me and asked, how does one go about getting a tavern tour stop? Or at least submitting an option or a would-be option for a tavern tour stop?
Well, there's a couple of ways we can do it, John. Contact you, right?
Yes.
Like, and have somebody shoot you some information, maybe a contact name, an owner, a bar manager, whoever it may be, location where we're at. We're going to need to make sure we can get there within coverage, right? And or also, I'll throw out my email right now if anybody wants to shoot me a note.
Go ahead.
B. Holverson, that's B-H-O-L-V as in Victor, E-R-S-O-N, at heavenhill.com. Shoot me an email and let me know. We're actually working on the schedule right now as we speak. And then next week, I believe, we'll probably go ahead and announce January, which is going to be I think it's the 29th is the last Friday. So we'll announce the actual location next week. And then while we're speaking of next week, we're going to be doing a playoff edition.
I love
Varsity Locks, Lunenuzule Shots. And we're going to be at Pearl Street Pizzeria.
Right next door.
No, they're at a location in Geist.
Wait a minute. I got to go to Geist again.
We've not been there yet.
Man,
so
they love me up in Geist.
They do, and it's the talk of the town up there, John.
That's
it's
awesome.
my back door. So it's at 10462 Oleo Road in Fishers. And PearlStreetPizzeria.com. You can check them out. Going to be a fun time. Courtney, Dave's wife, runs kind of that location. They both run them together, of course. But looking forward to that. I mean, their food is outstanding.
Yes,
it
is.
It truly is. Their pizza is great, but their sandwiches, the meatball. I still think about the meatball and their soups that they have. Oh, looking forward to that, John. So Pearl Street Pizzeria in Geist next Thursday.
Pearl Street Pizzeria
3 to
in Geist.
6.
I didn't know it was up there.
We'll have a full-on sampling going down for a playoff edition of the Larceny Locks and Lunenuzule Tequila Shot Show.
B. Halverson at
HeavenHill. HeavenHill.com. That's it.
So Shane Palmer, I'm assuming that he says you got to stop by the Crowbar. I'm assuming that's the Crowbar that's in Trafalgar, Indiana. And Shane, when I went back in May and the awesome Christian set us up down to see Gordon Lightfoot at the Brown County Music Center, we stopped on the way back at the Crowbar in Trafalgar, and it was outstanding. So, yeah, Trafalgar would be in play right here with the Crowbar.
That sounds like a great place.
It's a great place.
Oh, I've not been.
In Trafalgar.
Oh.
Right off of 135 right
that
there.
Excites me.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, we found some great stops that we had, and we've got some of the stops that want to repeat. This year we might even look at doing, but we want to find these new ones, right? The ones that are just hidden gems. And again, Trafalgar, I need a reason to get there, and this sounds like a good reason. So if that's a spot, have somebody reach out to us, and we'll see if we can't get it on the tour.
So, Shane, let us know. I want to make sure that is. There may be other Crowbars, but the only one that I know is in Trafalgar. And if that is indeed it, that sounds like a tavern tour stop that's absolutely ready to happen right there. So that's outstanding. But, yeah, Pearl Street, we're in Fishers, Geist, coming up next Thursday.
Next Thursday, 3 to 6, and come see Courtney Anderson and the crew up there. Again, they've got a great location. The location next door to where we're at here is awesome as well. Good to have a little difference. We haven't been up there yet, so it'll be neat. It's always great to break in a new location, John.
Have we identified the Donut Cinder right here, Brent? Who is that? Because I want to make sure a Fountain Square location, correct?
Yes. Okay. So it's actually Tony. I don't want to beat up the name here.
Better you than me.
Basile, Tony Basile. Broad Ripple Bread Company.
Okay.
The Broad Ripple Bread Company.
The Broad Ripple Bread Company. Shout out to the Broad Ripple Bread Company. And Cam had one of the donuts here, and he gives it a thumbs up right here. The Broad Ripple Bread Company, and friend of the show now, Tony, for bringing the couple of dozen donuts by for the show today. So the Broad Ripple Bread Company, when you go there, ask for Tony. Thank you very much, Tony. Brent rejoins. Final time. Eddie Gill a little bit earlier. Pacers lost in overtime to Philly last night. Went over that and the circumstances that unfortunately led to that loss in overtime with Eddie, 107.5. Check that. JMV at check that, 1075thefan.com. JMV at 1075 The Fan. That is my email address if you want to go there. We also did our Larceny Bourbon Locks and Lunenuzule Tequila Shots for Week 18. And Mike Chappell, substantial conversation top to bottom on what to look forward to after the regular season finale with the Texans coming up on Sunday. Final Bud Light Blue Friday is tomorrow. We'll tell you when and where, and hopefully you'll be a part of it. We'll come back for a final time. Coach's Tavern downtown. Larceny Bourbon Locks, Lunenuzule Tequila Shots, 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Dominique Foxworth Show.
I believe that most quarterbacks and probably more players are failed than the players themselves not being good. It's the coaches in the situation failing them. I was just thinking that we should start the Shanahan test or the Andy Reid test. When we start talking about players stink or players are bust, especially offensive players, just ask yourself, what would he look like in San Francisco or in Kansas City?
Check out the Dominique Foxworth Show anywhere you get your podcast.
The Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show is this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. For hunting, sporting, and personal protection gear, visit the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show.
You had a solid retirement dream. Sell your home in a few years, bank the equity, downsize, and travel. But inflation and recession has you wondering if all your hard-earned equity will still be there. What if you could recession-proof your equity right now? You can with Truehold. Truehold will buy your home for its best current value before a recession can erode it. You get to bank all the cash now and live in your home for as long as you want. And Truehold covers all property taxes, insurance, repairs, and maintenance. And since Truehold pays your home's current value in cash now, it's yours to do whatever you'd like. Don't wait for inflation, recession, and interest rates to erode your home's value. Visit Truehold.com and discover how much Truehold will buy your home for today. Based on its best current value, not what's coming. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without having to move. That's Truehold.com.
Affinity Whole Health is the leader in testosterone and hormone replacement therapy. You'll improve your mental focus, drive, and the physical benefits are amazing. Go to feelgreatindy.com. See why patients rave about Affinity at feelgreatindy.com. That's feelgreatindy.com.
At 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning, we're experienced in everything from boilers to furnaces, ductwork and all. Call 855-1HOUR or visit onehourair.com.
Always on time or you don't pay time.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in their respective state or county.
At Eskenazi Health, our patients are treated with compassion and skill. That's why Eskenazi Health is looking for professionals who share our mission and are dedicated to serving the community. As an employee of Indiana's top hospital for social responsibility and community health investment, you'll enjoy excellent benefits, competitive pay, and unwavering leadership support. Learn more about Eskenazi Health Careers online at eskenazihealth.edu/careers.
Soccer Saturday featuring Indy 11. If this is your football, this is your show. Saturday at 9 on The Fan. The Ride with JMV.
Let me have a Diablo sandwich of Dr. Pepper. Make it fast. I'm in a damn hurry.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Thank you guys enough. This has been outstanding time. Coach's Tavern downtown with the awesome Tommy Sutton. If you come in here, whether it's tonight to watch Purdue, Ohio State tipping in about an hour and 13 minutes from Columbus, or IU and Iowa coming up from Iowa City and Carver Hawkeye later on tonight. That is a 9 o'clock tip. Or maybe even tomorrow prior to the Pacer matchup with Portland at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Make sure you come in and ask for Tommy Sutton and say that you heard him on this show and have not only the fantastic food they have here, top to bottom on the menu, but also a little Heaven Hill Distillery product before you head on out to that game, for example, tomorrow night. Or maybe even if you come here prior to the Colts game on Sunday. Coach's is certainly a staple, not just in downtown Indy, but in central Indiana. And thank you, Tommy S., for everything. You also, Brent Halverson rejoins our betting analyst. We were talking about Tavern Tour Stop and how you can get involved and maybe, get a place that you love that fits the criteria of a tavern on our Tavern Tour Stop. You heard from the awesome Eddie Salm a little bit
Eddie
earlier.
Salm just shot me a note. Eddie, if you're listening, I appreciate you reaching out, my friend. It's great. He owns several great Salm's bars that have been around for many, many years. So always great hearing from great people like this. And then, Half Liter in Broad Ripple, great location down there, looking to do a lot of great bourbon things. So a lot of good stuff hopefully to come, John. We've got some good stuff creeping around the corner. And like you mentioned, anybody out there, if you do have a spot that you want us to look into, please reach out and let us know, because we'd love to get it on the calendar.
Speaking of Eddie Salm, I've heard a lot about Half Liter in Broad Ripple, right?
Oh, it's great. It's a great spot.
It is with
awesome.
The barbecue there.
Yes.
They want to get fired up with the best product in the business with that Heaven Hill Distillery. That would be awesome.
That'd
right
be
there.
Great stuff, absolutely.
It would. All right, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, our Larceny Bourbon Locks and Luna Azul Tequila shots. The one I feel the best about going back to it, is that Sunday night, or you're going to be a part of it at Lambeau Field, a win-in-your-end situation for the Packers, considering where they were a month ago and how we felt about them. It seems like against the Lions, and the Lions may or may not be playing for something coming up on Sunday night, but they're going to go for it anyway, as Dan Campbell has alluded to. You got to feel good about your team, and as far as the locks of the weekend go, Sunday night for me to end the regular season is just that.
Well, and I hope you're right, John, and I tell you, I mean, who's been playing hotter than the Lions, though, right? I mean, the Lions, and we talked about the Lions all year last year. I mean, they were against the spread covering machine. They've been playing some really good ball, putting up some big points. The bright side of this, they're coming into Green Bay, into Lambeau, into playoff. It's playoff atmosphere, right? You win and you're in, so that place is going to be lit. And I'm going to be pretty loud, so I hope to have a voice back by Thursday.
Yeah.
But it should be a great game. Like you mentioned, my lock is going to be Seattle Seahawks, which is the 425 games, which could eliminate the Lions, but as you just alluded to, Dan Campbell, they're not going to back down. They would rather see Seattle go to the playoffs than the Packers. They don't want somebody interdivision going back in there, so they will. They're not going to sit anybody. They're going to play everybody they got if they get to that situation. Otherwise, it's going to be a big game Sunday night if Seattle loses. Wow. I mean, I got chills even talking about it, John.
Yeah, I mean, I blocked that up because of the way that they've been playing recently. And certainly we talked about this, the way their defense has been playing recently. I mean, you can just kind of factor in, you would expect Aaron Rodgers to start turning it. But the defense has been the real deal here recently because that looked like, again, a month ago, a team that was basically washed and done.
Sitting at 4-8, they went in and played the Bears, and they were, I was talking down here a little bit earlier to somebody, they were 70 or 700 to 1 odds to win the Super Bowl. 700 to 1 odds.
Yeah.
And that was back when they were 4-8 because they just had a 1% chance. Well, they've won every game. They've kind of everything that had to happen happened. I mean, it's kind of, that's the NFL, right? It sets up for these big-time games and these big-time matchups, and just excited to see it come together here. And like I say, it's you got to play to win and get in. That's
my larceny lock is the Packers at home on Sunday night, Lambeau, in front of Brent Halverson with the Detroit Lions. You know, we mentioned the Colts of the Texans, talked about that with Mike Chappell. And you got those Saturday games as well. Kansas City and Vegas with the Chiefs still playing for something right now as well. So you kind of look at that and you think, well, you know, Vegas has got Jarrett Stidham, but they're at home, and the Chiefs, but they're still playing for something. So I look for the Chiefs to roll over Vegas. And then, you know, that game within the AFC South that everybody's going to be paying attention to is the win and you're in scenario. And, you know, you got obviously the quarterback situation. Tennessee rested their guys last week. Jacksonville did not. Jacksonville has been on the come. Tennessee has been on the decline. This in Jacksonville coming up on Saturday night at around 8:30, 8:35 or so. You really like Jacksonville to punch their ticket into the postseason.
I like Jacksonville a lot. Again, they've been playing very, very well. And I took a couple teams, a couple of subpar teams earlier on the season to win over their game totals. Jacksonville was one of them. Took them over 6.5. Luckily, they've hit that already. I'm waiting. I also had Carolina over 6.5. They've been hovering on that 6 number. They should have had against Tampa Bay last week. But Tampa, touchdown Tommy finds a way in that fourth quarter to come back and get the W. So I'm still looking for one more win by Carolina. It's going to be tough, but they got to, you know, that's why they play the games, right?
Well, Tom Brady, we mentioned this a little bit earlier, Tom Brady and Mike Evans. If you had, I know a couple of people that had both Tom Brady and Mike Evans on their fantasy team, you lit it up.
Oh.
Because between them, they were an absolute wrecking crew last weekend. From the quarterback and wide receiving standpoint, kind of makes you wonder because that hasn't been the case all year with quarterback and wide receiver. If maybe that is a stride hitter to get to the end of the season. And I know they get Atlanta, they get Desmond Ridder, the rookie quarterback. Maybe not looking so much at that, but as they vault in to the postseason to see if they can hit that stride and be what a lot of people thought that they were going to be for the entirety of the year, which clearly they were not.
Oh, you're absolutely right. They've played some bad football, and again, like we talked about, they had the worst against the spread record in the NFL, so they weren't covering games either. Barely winning, coming back from, 3 horrible quarters to win in the fourth. I think that, you got to look at guys like Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, these big guys, these big names that when it gets to playoff time, it's like they switch gears. They know, they've been there, they've driven this road before. They're going to get back on that path and hop right into it. You can never count out Tom Brady no matter what, especially in the playoffs. So hopefully Aaron Rodgers is there to tackle him at some point down the road.
And the news we followed, too, not only all week long, but again today, where Damar Hamlin, substantial improvement. Substantial improvement to the point where he asked doctors what happened in the game on Monday night. So the best news of the day, and hopefully there's better news tomorrow, but the best news up to this week was Damar Hamlin from his hospital room in Cincinnati, where we all feared the worst on Monday night. It just seems like things continue to get positive. And, for the first time today, the Bills met with the media, Sean McDermott and Josh Allen, head coach and quarterback. They are going to play the game against the Patriots, feel like that they're ready to play the game against the Patriots. And the father of Damar Hamlin also mentioned that that's exactly what he would want them to play that game. So that's what they're going to do. And the Bengals, of course, are back on the field coming up on Sunday as well. So in what has been a wild week and what started out as really bad news as we approach, the end of Thursday coming up here and into Friday, the news on that front is much, much better.
Oh, it's huge. And for Damar's dad to get on and did a Zoom with the Buffalo Bills today really uplifted their spirits. Yeah. Josh Allen came out and said, hey, we're going to play for him. This is what he wants us to do. We're ready to go. They went back on the field today, so they're going to be amped up. That's their brother that took a hit. And, again, I think we've all been waiting and got chills even saying it right now, John. Hearing that news today, everything's still intact. His first question, who won the game?
Yeah.
So that is awesome to hear. Let's hope that they get that breathing thing worked out and then get him off the tube and let's move on and then get him back out there hopefully one of these days coming up soon.
In case you missed this a little bit earlier today, Chris Beard was fired as the Texas head coach. Again, he was dealing with domestic violence charge, and Texas officials decided to go ahead and cut ties with the incredibly successful head coach, at least at winning games, Chris Beard. That happened earlier today. All right, college hoops-wise, coming up here at 7 o'clock, you got Purdue on the road at Ohio State. 9 o'clock, that's IU and Iowa. You can hear that downstairs on 93 WIBC. That tip time's at 9 o'clock. Pregame coverage begins from Carver Hawkeye at 8 o'clock. Great job from you, James, back at the station. Cam, great job of engineering. Brent Halverson, our betting analyst, always awesome. Tommy Sutton, thank you very much. Coach's Tavern folks, everybody that came out, we love you. Thank you. And I'll see you tomorrow to close out the week. Bud Light Blue Friday, Twin Peaks in Castleton. That is tomorrow. Right here, 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Shout out to the lounge. Great job. We'll talk at you at 3 tomorrow.